Good morning to one and all. On behalf of the Indian Institute of Information Technology, Bhagatpur, I extend a warm welcome to all the dignitaries, faculty members, participants, research scholars, students, and guests present here for the inaugural session of the short-term training program on machine learning and deep learning in agriculture and biomedical engineering, organized in hybrid mode. With great pleasure, I welcome our Honorable Director, Professor Madhusudan Singh, our guest of honor, Professor Kalyan Chatterjee, IIT ISM Dhanbad, Head of the Department, CSC, Dr. Pradeep Kumar Biswal, and Coordinator of the Short-Term Training Program, Dr. Dilip Kumar Chaube, to kindly take their seats on the desk. And with this, we now move on to the land writing ceremony. To mark the auspicious beginning of the inaugural session, I humbly request our respected dignitaries to kindly proceed for the ceremonial land writing. The writing of the land symbolizes the journey from darkness to knowledge and wisdom. Thank you, esteemed dignitaries, for the ceremonial land writing. I request you to kindly take your seats. I now request Mrs. Arlasha Bharti, Assistant Registrar, Tripurati Bhagatpur, to kindly present the invocation. information. We shall now proceed with the formal welcome and presentation of our esteemed dignitaries. I request Dr. Dilip Kumar Chaubey, coordinator of the program, to kindly welcome our honorable director, Sir Professor Madhusudhan Singh, with the bouquet and shawl.
पहले हमारे गेस्ट का नाम सम्मान करना चाहिए।
I now request Honorable Director Professor Madhusudhan Singh to kindly present our guest of honor, Professor Kalyan. I now request Honorable Director Professor Madhusudhan Singh to kindly present our guest of honor, Professor Kalyan Chatterjee, with the bouquet and a shawl. I now request Dr. Sunil Kumar to kindly welcome the head of the department CSC, Dr. Ajay Kumar Biswal, with the bouquet. Now, I request Dr. Ajay Kumar Biswal, head of the department Computer Science and Engineering, Faculty Bhagalpur, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Very good morning to everyone. Honorable Director Sir, Chief Guest Kalyan Chatterjee Sir, Coordinator Dr. Dilip Kumar Chaubey, and on behalf of Department of Computer Science and Engineering, it is great pleasure to welcome you in this short-term training program on machine learning and deep learning in agriculture and artificial intelligence. The agriculture and medical engineering are two important aspects of today's human life. Agriculture secures our food, whereas medical engineering secures our health. In this short-term training program, we aim at discussing various machine and deep learning applications in agriculture and biomedical engineering. In agriculture, we focus on implementation of machine learning and deep learning for computer vision, crop disease detection, automated weed identification, crop yield prediction, and IoT-driven precision farming, etc. Thus, this program leads towards the smart agriculture. In biomedical engineering, mainly we focus on application of deep neural networks for advanced medical image processing, early human disease detection, and automated patient monitoring. Thus, this program leads towards smart healthcare. The short-term training program starts with fundamentals of artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, introduction to classifications, regressions, and use of transformations, and generative AI, and their applications in the field of agriculture and biomedical engineering. Expert lectures are arranged from different reputed national institutions in this activity. I would like to thank the coordinator, Dr. Dilip Kumar Chaubey, for conducting this program. Further, I would like to thank our Honorable Director Sir for his kind support and help for arranging this program. Lastly, once again, I welcome all the participants in this online mode or offline mode to this short-term training program on machine learning and deep learning in agriculture and biomedical engineering. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the insightful address and for sharing the vision and objectives of the short-term training program. To give us an overview of the short-term training program, I now request Dr. Dilip Kumar Sobek, coordinator of the program, to kindly address the gathering.
Honorable Director Sir, Professor Madhusudan Singh, Guest of Honor and Keynote Speaker Mr. Kundan Kumar Lal, President Beauty Foundation, Guest of Honor and Distinguished Speaker Professor Kalyan Chatterjee, IIT Sandanbad, all department heads, associate dean, faculty members, staff, students, and all participants. Firstly, I would like to wish you all a very warm good morning. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all and thank to all of you for being here with us today in person and virtual. I'm very pleased to welcome you to the commencement ceremony of 5 days short-term training program on machine learning and deep learning in agriculture and biomedical engineering in a hybrid mode, organized by the Department of CSE. It starts from today, 12th of May, and will end on 16th of May. The STTP will be conducted in the hybrid mode. It is indeed a very special and important course for learners, which includes UG, PG, research scholar, faculty, and industry professionals from different parts of the country. The goal of this STTP is imparting knowledge and training on the fundamentals and advancement of machine learning and deep learning in agriculture and biomedical engineering. I feel very privileged to say that all this will be done through expert lecture delivered by faculty of some of the prestigious institutes of India like IIT, IIIT, and NIT, and led by some industry experts who have a very vast experience in this field. I am hoping that by the end of this program, the participants should be able to understand and apply the following topics: how machine learning and deep learning works, along with motivations in agriculture and biomedical engineering, applications of machine learning and deep learning in agriculture and biomedical engineering, how to formulate problems into machine learning and deep learning framework, practical knowledge in analysis, design, and development, machine learning and deep learning techniques. Practical session on machine learning and deep learning techniques by using Python, Vika, disease types that the machine learning communicators are currently tackling and possible solution for them. I am delighted to share that we have participants from all parts of India. A total of 193 participations have been recorded, out of which 93 are UG, 48.2%, 25 MTech students, that is 30%, 30 are research scholars, 15.5%, and 40 are faculties, that is 20.7%. Majorly, all faculties are having PhD degree, and rest are from industry professionals, that is also 3%. I would like to convey my sincere gratitude and heartfelt appreciation to our esteemed director, Professor Madhusudan Singh, for his visionary leadership, constant encouragement, and generous support in providing us the opportunity to organize this short-term training program on machine learning and deep learning in agriculture and biomedical engineering in a hybrid way. We are very truly grateful for the confidence and trust he has placed in us to coordinate and conduct this prestigious program. His valuable guidance and motivation support have been a great source of inspiration throughout the planning and execution of the STTP. Under his dynamic leadership, the Institute continues to achieve remarkable milestones in academic, innovation, and research. We sincerely thank him for providing us this excellent opportunity and for continuously motivating us to contribute toward the academic growth and reputation of the Institute. I extend our heartfelt gratitude and sincere thanks to Mr. Kundan Kumar Lal, President, BT Foundation, for graciously accepting our invitation to be guest of honor and keynote speaker in the virtual mode for the STTP. We are deeply honored by his esteemed virtual presence and valuable support for the STTP. I also extend our sincere gratitude and heartfelt thanks to Professor Kalyan Chatterjee, IIT Sandanbad, for graciously accepting our invitation to be the guest of honor and distinguished speaker for the short-term training program on machine learning and deep learning in agriculture and biomedical engineering. We are deeply honored by his esteemed presence and valuable association with this STTP. It is a matter of great privilege and honor for us to have been associated with this prestigious STTP. We are confident that today's guest of honor and eminent speaker motivational thoughts and technical insights will encourage young researchers, students, faculty members, and industry persons to pursue innovation, interdisciplinary research, and academic excellence with great enthusiasm. Finally, once again, thank you, Honorable Director Sir, for providing us the opportunity to conduct this activity. With this, I conclude my speech. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the detailed introduction to the short-term learning program and clearly outlining the objectives of the program. So, before inviting our Honorable Director, sir, for the welcome address, it is my privilege to briefly introduce him to the gallery. Professor Madhusudan Singh assumed the charge of Director at IIT Bhagalpur on June 17, 2025. He is a professor in the Department of Electrical Engineering at Delhi Technological University. Prior to joining DTU, he served as a lecturer at the Institute of Engineering and Technology from 1996 to 1999 and at the Northeastern Regional Institute of Science and Technology, Arunachal Pradesh, from 1992 to 1996. He received his BSc in Electrical Engineering from Dayarbagh Education Institute, Master of Engineering in Control and Instrumentation from MNIT Allahabad, and PhD degree from the Faculty of Technology, University of Delhi. He has about 50 years of professional experience in engineering institutions of higher learning, out of which more than 17 years have been as a professor of electrical engineering at Delhi Technological University. He has held many administrative responsibilities such as head of the Department of Electrical Engineering, Dean Academics, Dean Student Welfare, Controller of Examinations, Chief Warden, Member of Board of Management, Registrar, and member of different administrative bodies. He has a very wide range of experience in the administration of government universities and institutions. In addition to the above administrative experience, he has significantly contributed to academics and his research domains, namely power electronics and motor drives, renewable energy systems, and electrical vehicles. He has more than 150 publications in reputed peer-reviewed international journals and conferences. He has supervised 17 PhD research scholars and 10 more are currently pursuing their research under his guidance. He has also supervised 42 patents. He has authored 5 book chapters. He has 2 granted patents and 2 filed patents. He has been a reviewer for many reputed research journals in the area of electrical. He has organized 3 international conferences and coordinated more than 18 patent development programs. And he has also been instrumental in establishing a center of excellence for electrical vehicles and related technologies. He is a I would now like to humbly invite our Honorable Director, Sir, Professor Madhusudan Singh, for the
A very good morning to all of you. At the outset, I would like to congratulate the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, especially the head of department, Dr. Pradeep Kumar Biswalji and Dr. Dilip Kumar Chaubeji, for taking initiative and organizing this short-term training program, 5 days training program on machine learning, deep learning, and especially applications for agriculture and biomedical. So my special thanks to both of these faculty members and also the other department members who have been organizing this program. I also wish to welcome our guest of today, guest speaker, and also the chief guest for inaugural function, Professor Kalyan Banerjee ji, who has come all the way from IIT Dhanbad to interact with you all. I am happy to see that more than 190 participants registered for this program, which is really a remarkable achievement for the coordinators. It appears he has made a very wide publicity for the program. And out of 190, around 50 people are attending in person. More than 75 are attending online. So I also welcome our online participants. Offlines are present here, and For information of especially those who are not present in person here and attending this program online, I would like to briefly tell you about our triple IT Bhagalpur and also a little bit about machine learning, deep learning, STTP program which is sitting here. Triple IT Bhagalpur is an institute of national importance established by Ministry of Education, Government of India in 2017. Our first batch started in 2017. The BTech in Computer Science and Engineering, Electronics Communication Engineering. And later on we started 3 master programs, one in Computer Science Engineering, another in Electronics and Communication Engineering, and another in electric vehicle technology that's related to our mechatronics discipline. We offer all BTech, MTech, PhD programs. We are just 8-year-old institutions, but over a period of 8 years, if we see the institution has given a good impact in the domain of electronics, especially, and IT technology. That's our core domain, in fact. We are not a comprehensive engineering institutions. We are mainly an institution focused for computer science and engineering, IT and allied domain like electronics, mechatronics, and other domains. So, this institute is located at a very beautiful place, Bihar, Bhagalpur, a old city situated on the river bank of Ganga. It is the southern bank of river Ganga, and especially those who have who could not get opportunity to attend this program in offline mode. I especially invite them to come to this place if you get similar opportunity in the future and enjoy the beauty of this campus. We have 50-acre campus, lush green campus on the river bank of Ganga, and we have a very good orchard of mango. This is a mango season. If you could have come to this place, you could have really seen the natural beauty of this place. I am happy to tell you all that our Department of Computer Science and Engineering is an young department led by young faculty members, and that's our major strength. We have very reputed faculty members, all PhD in their domains, and whatever we plan, we take it to the heart and execute it nicely. That's our strength. And over 5 days of this training program, we have tried to invite women from all leading institutions of countries, especially the institutions which are nearby to our place, Bhagalpur. So I hope that all the participants will get opportunity to interact with different professors from IIT Patna, NIT Patna, IIT Dhanbad, and maybe some professors coming from MANIT Bhopal, other leading NITs. So I hope that this program will be very fruitful to all of you, and my sincere appeal to all of you is whether you are attending offline or online, if you have time, please devote it for this learning. Say machine learning, deep learning is important, but what is more important is learning. And learning is basically a sense of discipline. Once you decide that I have to learn this, you can plan yourself. So I hope that all those who registered for this program for 5 days, they have already planned that we will devote 5 days to learn this new technology, which is an emerging area, and people of all disciplines now are trying to use machine learning and deep learning for their applications. Just a few days back, I saw an article in newspaper from a very renowned author from US. He wrote that the poverty of the whole world could be eliminated if we adopt large scale use of AI. I do not know on what basis that statement has been notified, but it is true that well, AI cannot replace human being, but certainly AI will replace those human beings who are not using AI. So AI use is important. It will enhance your competency, it will enhance your uh, efficiency. So if you want to increase your productivity, efficiency, try to utilize these two new technology. And I do not come from this domain, in fact, but I understand that AI is a very big umbrella, a big sphere, and inside the AI there is a smaller sphere called machine learning, and a very small pulse inside the machine learning is your deep learning. Is it? The experts from domain may comment on this, but we say that a machine learning is a subset of AI, and deep learning is a further subset of machine learning. So now why it is all defined like this, I do not know much, but yes, I certainly understand that few years back, the technology which we used to talk soft computing, may be classified in different domain, and later on it is, if it is more computational intensive, it has been called deep learning. If it is more algorithm based and little more less time consuming, it is called a machine learning. And all together, both together has been called a AI, broadly. So your experts will tell you more, in fact. But when we talk about deep learning, I find a lot of scope, especially the two emerging applications are already cited in this FTP, agriculture and biomedical. But biomedical, you can say broadly healthcare. So the two domains, what we call broadly agriculture and healthcare, are in fact the two special domains where a lot of scopes for the engineers and scientists who are working in this domain lies there. I still cite some of the examples. Why you say that deep learning has more scope towards agriculture? One of the reasons is, especially those who know, I mean, deeply these two technology, they know that one is meant for structured data, another is meant for non-structured data. Deep learning technology is more useful for non-structured data, but based on those non-structured data, you can have possibility to recognize very complex patterns. And that is the one reason that in agriculture and healthcare this tool is very effective. I was just attending an interview somewhere for selection committee, and I saw there was a very young guy trying to discuss the application of deep learning for this particular region. And then it obviously attracted my attention. He said that this Bihar southern part, including Malda, is a mango belt. And mango is a crop where the possibility of converting the flower into fruit, ultimately getting fruit, is just 10%. जितना फूल लगता है आम पे, उसका केवल 10% फाइनली प्रोडक्ट में या क्रॉप में कन्वर्ट होता है. The rest 90% get aborted. And the reason is that it is a crop which is very sensitive to diseases. And he was trying to cite that in this age, when we are talking about machine learning, deep learning, we have high computing machines. Can't we analyze this disease in advance? We can forecast and take measures so that the yield of the crop increases. And I find a very attractive applications. आपको पता है शायद देश का हमारा मैंगो पूरे विदेशों में जाता है, और अभी कल परसों जो ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर है मेड ए अपील टू ऑल ऑफ सिटीजन ऑफ आवर कंट्री कि हम लोग कम से कम पेट्रोलियम प्रोडक्ट यूज करें, कार पूलिंग करें, ट्रांसपोर्ट में फ्यूल का कंजम्पशन करें, कम करें, खाने पीने की जो ऑयल है उसको बचाएं, सोना कम खरीदें। अगले 1 साल तक when this war crisis going on between Iran and US, this is in the interest of our country. और ऐसे समय में अगर हम अपनी जो भी स्ट्रेंथ है, because India, if you remember, traditionally we have been an agriculture country, and if we try to improve the crop yield of our country, especially mango fruit, मैं कहता हूँ इस एरिया में, if some of you are really working in this domain, try to understand this scope and explore the possibility of using deep learning to understand the different kind of diseases which this particular crop is facing and how it can help us in improving the overall yield of the crops. Not only that, today in fact in the newspaper I just saw there was a news that IIT Patna has developed a helmet which if you wear, it understands the status of your brain, neurons, and can easily predict very sensitive diseases. आज ही पेपर में मैंने पढ़ा. Good example of, and they have also cited that they have used a small tool of machine learning. I just visited few days back to AIMS Devgar, which is closer to our place, around 100 kilometers away from Bhagalpur. And when I was discussing with different doctors, they have raised several issues related to medical where we need intervention of AI and ML. So this is a very emerging and vast area. You may select one of these problems, and if you come up with a really interesting solution, I hope everybody welcome you for those ideas, and a lot of agencies are ready to fund you to further make it as a product and a commercial item. So this is what I understand is really a good opportunity for all of you to learn this technology. मुझे तो अभी एक दिन आर्टिकल में पढ़ रहा था, तो उसमें लिखा था कि AI for आर्ट्स. हम सोचते हैं कि आर्ट्स एक ऐसी डिसिप्लिन है जिसमें इंजीनियरिंग और साइंस का कोई खास मतलब नहीं. हिस्ट्री एंड ज्योग्राफी एंड ज्योग्राफी को फिर भी साइंस कहा जाता है, बट अदर डोमेन्स. और मैंने देखा कि उसमें एक सब्जेक्ट पढ़ाया जा रहा है कि एआई को कैसे यूज किया. तो अब आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि एआई कंप्यूटर साइंस का डोमेन या मैथमेटिक्स वालों का डोमेन. इट इज ए डोमेन जस्ट लाइक आज की तारीख में क्या आप कहते हैं कि कंप्यूटर को एक कंप्यूटर साइंस का डोमेन. किसी का हिंदी वाले का भी पीएचडी बिना कंप्यूटर का हो सकता है. थीसिस तो लिखेगा ही हिंदी में, कंप्यूटर पे ही लिखेगा. तो जैसे आपने देखा कि कंप्यूटर एक आज की तारीख में टूल हो गया, असिस्टिंग टूल हो गया, वैसे ही आपके लिए एआई भी एक असिस्टिंग टूल हो जाएगा, चाहे आपका डोमेन कुछ भी हो, एक्सपर्टीज कुछ भी हो. And it's high time for all of us, especially those who are professional and engineering professional, to take up this new challenge to your heart. And I think these are, organizing programs, expert lectures, FDPs are the only the people of our age can learn. अब हम लोग कॉलेज और यूनिवर्सिटी में एडमिशन लेके नहीं पढ़ेंगे ये टेक्नोलॉजी. We can learn by organizing such events. And I hope you have taken a very right decision that you have registered for this course, and hope your stay at Bhagalpur, Triple IT Bhagalpur, will be meaningful for all of you, and at the end of the day, you will have something different than what you were 5 days back. So I only appeal to all of you is that don't miss any lecture. I understand that Professor Dilip has taken a lot of efforts for this. Last 1 month he is continuously working on organization of this FTP. और मैं बार बार आते थे पूछते थे सर मैं इसमें और क्या करूं. In fact, he organized similar events earlier also, but I'm happy to share with you all that we are going to organize few more programs related to robotics and AI, especially by our mechatronics branch, VLSI related FDP in our electronics communication engineering, and maybe another program on the same topic with a little different content in computer science and engineering in association with NIT Patna. So hopefully all these FDP will also held in coming days before the end of July. So I invite all of you, whether you are in offline or online mode, to please see these details on our website, and if you find it interesting for your domain, please join for this program. This is all what I want to share with you all. My heartfelt congratulations again to the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, and especially the coordinator Dr. Dilip Chaube, and all the participants who are attending this program. I also thank our invited speakers, especially Professor Kalyan Banerjee ji and a few more who are likely to join this event, maybe today and day after tomorrow, and for other days. I especially suggested the coordinator that you always keep a few offline sessions. And it is not necessary that the teacher who are not registered in this program, they can't attend. I said if you find that any session is interesting and you want to learn, you all are welcome to attend this program. And this is how one day you will also become expert of this domain, and then we need not to go here and there to learn this. We will have our indigenous experts who will make our students to learn, who will make us to learn. So this is all about my opinion on this FDP and its general and the machine learning, deep learning tools. मशीन लर्निंग डीप लर्निंग पढ़ने के लिए आपको कोई अलग से टाइम नहीं निकालना है. जो भी आप पढ़ रहे हैं उसमें उसके एप्लीकेशन खोजना है, और जिस दिन आप एप्लीकेशन पे टूल लगा लेंगे आप लर्न कर लेंगे. ऐसा नहीं है कि पहले पढ़ेंगे समझेंगे और फिर इसको एप्लीकेशन आप आइडेंटिफाई करिए, दैट विल मोटिवेट टू लर्न दैट. So this is what I want to share with you all. Thank you all for joining this.
Thank you very much, Director Sir, for your inspiring words and for sharing such insightful perspectives on the interdisciplinary nature of AI and its potential to address local challenges and create meaningful societal impact. We shall now proceed to the next segment of the inaugural session. I request Dr. Sunil Kumar to kindly come on stage and introduce our esteemed guest of honor and distinguished speaker, Professor Kalyan Chatterjee from IIT IS London. Good morning, Honorable Director Sir, distinguished guests, respected faculty member, and all participants. We are deeply honored to have you all here. It is my greatest privilege to introduce guest of honor, Professor Kalyan Chatterjee. We are deeply fortunate to have him at IIT Bhagalpur for short-term training program. on machine learning and deep learning in agriculture and biomedical engineering. Professor Kalyan Chatterjee is a professor in the Department of Electrical Engineering at Indian Institute of Technology ISM Dhanbad, with more than 6 years of teaching and research experience in undergraduate and postgraduate education. He joined at IIT ISM Dhanbad in 2005 and has been serving as a professor since 2021. He obtained his BE degree from Jalpaiguri Government Engineering College, MEE from Jadavpur University, and PhD from Birla Institute of Technology, Mysore. His specialization is in electrical power system. His research interests include cyber physical system, soft computing techniques, power system operation and control, renewable energy system, smart grid technology, load frequency control, and wind energy system. He has successfully guided 18 PhD scholars and 35 postgraduate students. Professor Chatterjee has published more than 100 research papers in reputed STI and Scopus journals, including Applied Energy, IEEE System Journal, Renewable and Sustainable Energy Review, and Electric Power System Research. He is also a mentor of granted Indian patent title Compact 3-phase structured 4-port current limiter for grid connected DFIC system. He is a fellow of Institution of Engineers India, a member of Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, and also associated with several professional bodies including ISTE and System Society of India. Currently, he is serving as an Associate Dean Infrastructure at Indian Institute of Technology, ISM Dhanbad. Please join me in welcoming Professor Kalyan Chatterjee, who will share his valuable thoughts with us.
Thanks for the nice introduction. Respected Director, Professor Madhusudan Singh, HOD CSC, Dr. Pradeep Kumar Mishra, Honorable Guest Mr. Kunal Lal, Dr. Dilip Kumar Chowdhury, Post Coordinator, distinguished members, distinguished speakers, and my dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm good morning to everyone present here. It is my great privilege and honor to be invited as a guest of honor for the short-term course on machine learning and deep learning in agriculture and biomedical engineering, organized by Indian Institute of Information Technology, Bhagalpur. I sincerely thank the organizer, especially Dr. Dilip Kumar Chowdhury and the Department of Computer Science of Engineering for arranging such a timely and meaningful academic program. Today we are living in the era where technology is transforming every sector of society. Among the most powerful tools of this transformation are machine learning and deep learning. These technologies are no longer limited to computer science engineering or computer science laboratory. They are now solving the real world challenges and in agriculture, healthcare, industry, transportation, our energy sector, and the environment management. In agriculture, the artificial intelligence can help farmers predict crop disease, optimize irrigation, improve yield estimation, monitor the soil condition, and make the data-driven creation. This is extremely important for the country like India, where agriculture supports millions of the livelihoods. Similarly, in the biomedical engineering, machine learning are open the new possibility in the disease diagnosis, medical imaging, patient monitoring, and the drug discovery, and the personalized healthcare intelligence system can assist the doctors in early detection in the fatal diseases and improve the treatment outcomes. I am especially happy to know that programs is combined both the theory and the practical session using Python and the modern analytical tool. Such a hands-on learning is essential because innovation happens when the knowledge meets practice. I would like to appreciate the TPIIT Bhagalpur for taking initiatives like this that bring together students, researchers, faculty members, and industry professionals on a common platform. This interaction creates opportunity for collaboration, the research, and future innovation. To all participants, I encourage you to actively engage in every lecture, ask questions, explore idea, and think beyond conventional boundaries. The future belongs to those who can combine the domain knowledge with the intelligent technologies. I also congratulate all the speakers and experts who are sharing their valuable experience during this program. Their guidance will surely inspire the next generation of researchers and innovators. With these words, I once thank the organizer for inviting me. I wish the short-term course a great success. Hope that this will generate a new idea, meaningful research, and practical solution for society. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Professor Kalyan Chatterjee, for your insightful words and valuable thoughts shared with the gathering, particularly the transformative role of AI in agriculture and biomedical engineering in addressing real-world challenges. As we continue with the inaugural session, let us move to the next segment. I request Dr. Sunil Kumar to kindly come on stage and introduce our guest of honor and keynote speaker, Mr. Kundan Lal, President, Witty Foundation.
Thank you, sir. It is now my honor to introduce our next keynote speaker, Mr. Kundan Kumar Lal. Mr. Kundan Kumar Lal is a globally recognized thought leader and visionary in the field of artificial intelligence. With over 30 years of experience, he has been a pioneer force in AI. He is not just a technologist, but someone who has consistently shaped how industries, institutions, and government think about and adopt AI. His expertise spans some of our most impactful areas of AI, such as computer vision, natural language processing, predictive analytics, anomaly detection, information retrieval, and robotics. Over the course of his career, he has worked at the highest level of global IT leadership. He has built executive relationships with Fortune 500 companies and driven AI adoption across the sectors that shape our world. In the field of governance, business, healthcare, agriculture, and national security. He has been instrumental in the establishing AI innovation hubs and exchanges across India, where academia and industry come together to build solutions that serve society. As a coach and mentor at BTAI, he has worked closely with professional and organizations to explore AI's economic and societal implications. As the head of the BT Research Foundation, his advocacy goes beyond innovation, it is about equity. His focus remains on promoting a holistic understanding of AI's implications for beyond traditional technological boundaries. Currently, he serves as a founder, director, and CEO of Univity AI, a member of Board of Governors at Universal AI University, and president of Witty Foundation. Each of these roles is a testament to his commitment to building an AI ecosystem that benefits industry, academia, and society equally. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Kundan Kumar Lal, who will share his valuable thoughts with us.
Yes, sir. We are listening you, sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir. You may proceed, sir. Your voice is audible, sir. Visible, sir. Please share your slide. Kundan, sir. Sir, you are muted, sir. Okay, sir. Please, sir. Okay, sir. Please. Kindly check your muted status. Okay, sir.
Hello.
क्यों जी रिकॉर्ड
Hello.
बोलिए बोलिए
Yes, sir, you can share your slides.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are able to listen you, sir. Please, sir, proceed, sir. Thank you, sir. Please, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
So thanks for inviting me in. Good morning. Hello.
Yes, sir. Audible, sir. Please.
Okay.
You may start, please.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So good morning, everybody. The AI is a very, very transformative technology. Right, and it is actually changing everything around us. Let me before I start and we address the part which I have been asked to deliver on, let me give you a few insights. The current stage of AI is, which we call it the large reasoning models or agentic AI. But AI is very fast moving now to the next stages, which we call the physical AI. Okay, where the robotic implementations combined with the LLMs or LRMs will become the part of us. They say by 2030 will have around 10 billion robots around us doing everything what we have today. Okay, and agriculture or any other science areas is not going to be left out of this particular revolution which is happening at this point of time. Okay, the very important factor is that we need to be part of this revolution or this transformation which is happening. There are a few walls which have been created around us. I call it a data wall. We need to understand that we generate, as in India, we generate around 20% of the global data set. But the computational capability which we have in India is only 3% of that. That means every data bit you are generating, be you are on LinkedIn or Instagram or on Facebook or any other device, any other application you are, your data is actually flowing to a computational hub which is primarily centered in US, and then it gets calculated and then comes back to India. Okay, so your data is not getting our data. We are not in control of that. The second biggest wall they have created also, the world has created, specifically the countries which are investing heavily into AI, like US is pumping in more than $3 trillion. China is pumping more than $187 billion into AI. We are nowhere in that particular sense. We have hardly invested $1 billion, that is the AI mission, around 7,000 crores. So they are generating, the hardware part is the second part which we need to understand. The hardware challenge is so huge that currently we have around 28 nanometer chips as the part of the IC mission which we have. And the world has already moved to 2 nanometer chips. We don't have an access to that kind of hardware in India. And even if we buy those hardwares from companies like NVIDIA, we are being taxed so that they are funding their own data center. If you are aware, US, Trump, as he joined in 2025, he became president, he announced Project Stargate. It's a huge $25 billion project. That means they are creating huge data centers across the globe. They say across the globe, but 8 of them are in the US and 2 of them, one in Norway, one in UAE. India is not there into that map. They are moving the AI to the next level, which we call it AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. The world we are living in today is the world of artificial narrow intelligence. It is going to move to artificial general intelligence, where AI will be doing much more than what we are expecting today. Even like us, it will be working on a spatial data set. Okay, it will be probably better than us in a lot of senses. Even in IQ level, we humans operated 90, 140 IQ level. Einstein was 140. The AI or AGI simulated on these data centers will work at 5,000 IQ level. So we have to start realizing the challenge which is there in front of us. And the biggest challenge India has, the wall which is there, that is the depth of technology, understanding, or the resources. So our understanding, the expertise which we have on AI, we don't have the depth. Okay, that is something which we have to realize early. And the reason for not having a depth in AI technology, the biggest reason is that we are not doing projects and innovations around AI as we are supposed to do. We are not innovating. We are only writing wrappers on ChatGPT or Gemini, or go on naming DALI 2 and all. We are consuming it. We are still a consumer market. We are not generating this technology. So this is something very, very crucial for us to walk into that generation and see that we become innovators, we participate. And the biggest factor which I see where we are working upon is the academia and industry collaboration. Okay, academia, industry doesn't want to give our academia the projects. Our academia is not capable of taking industry projects and delivering it to. So this is something we have to wake up to this fact, cut the red tapes, and see that we become really the part of innovation India requires at this point of time. Or we are looking at a perpetual servitude where we will be happy, where everything we will have on our table. The precision agriculture will bring food on the table. It will be served by the robotics which is there around us. Okay, autonomous vehicles will be there for us to take from one place to another. But then we will not have swayata, freedom to make our decisions. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Your voice is audible, sir. Sir, your topic is over, sir. We'll go. It will go.
Yeah, can I move to the presentation of mine, Dr. Dilip?
Yes, sir. Please, sir. Please,
Okay.
sir. We all are waiting, sir. Thank you.
Right, let me share the deck.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Are you able to see my window?
No, sir. Not visible, sir. Currently not visible, sir.
Not able to see? Okay, let me.
So you may also share your PPT to us and we may show you. Either from your end as you are feeling comfortable.
Right, are you able to share? I'm able to see my screen now?
Yeah, yes. Coming.
Okay, wonderful. Let me. So let me start. Dr. Dilip, I hope my screen is shared. It is visible to you?
Yes, sir. You are visible. Your screen is also visible, sir.
Okay, wonderful. So in continuation, what I was talking about that how AI is so transformative. One of the transformation which we are looking at is obviously the agriculture or agriculture. Okay, and to be more formative, let us call it a precision agriculture, which is now AI based. From satellite data to the soil data, AI is now taking care of that and bringing a lot of valuable insights and help to the farmers, which will provide a lot of food security, bring a lot of food security. It's a big challenge at this point of time. The world population is moving to around 10 billion. So that is something which is a constraint which we have to understand. And to understand the food security equation, the traditional farm, the current farming which we have cannot scale to 10 billion people. Okay, there is a lot of loss which are there and which we need to manage. And this can be only managed through AI, ML, or through automation. Let's call it automation. Through automation, we have to feed around 10 billion by 2050. That is the population which we are moving to. The food and supply chain, we waste around 40% of the food. Fresh water in agriculture, we're using more than 70%. A lot of runoff is there. Okay, and the arable land which is there, which generates food for us, is degraded by 33% globally, which is a lot of loss in terms of arable land area for us. Okay, so we have to understand this and see that what kind of automation and what kind of this efficiency gap we can fulfill, and what is the opportunity which is there. AI is considered to be one of the best way to address this gap. Okay, like fertilizers, the farmers use more than 30, 40, 50% more fertilizers than needed. Pesticide spray is 80, 90% more than what is required. The irrigation, what we do, we lose around 50% of the water through the evaporation and runoff. So these are some challenges which are there, and that is where AI can intervene, help us guide. And precision agriculture is an opportunity we need to look at, where ML guided variable rate application cuts input by 20-40%. Spraying for pesticide can be reduced by 90%. Okay, obviously it is not only to kill the weeds and the insects, but also, you know, this runoff of pesticide also harms us, our health too. And smart irrigation cuts water use by 30, 40, 50% by real time reinforced learning. So these are some of the areas where we need to understand that AI ML can help us a lot. Let's look at one by one to understand this, that how AI can be implemented. We have to understand that to implement AI, we have to see that we generate data. This is the stack which is there for precision agriculture. This data stacks. So we have to collect data, but before we collect data, obviously we have to understand and implement a lot of IoT sensors. There are multiple architectures and technologies which are available. What are best fitted to us, the cellular ones, LoRa based, or whatever. We have to understand those IoT. How do we collect data? We are obviously very poor in India in that perspective. That our data is, a lot of data is dark. It is not structured at this point of time, and we have to start thinking about how to bring, how to reduce noise, and how to clarify that data set required for AI to understand, train on, and deploy. Okay, so but this data is very, very important. That is the first layer, the perception. The second is, how do we transfer this data? There are multiple technologies set. Obviously, in that area, we have moved quite ahead. We have got 5G. We have got technologies, but we have to start understanding that NB or narrowband IoT or edge or fog, how do we implement that to become better into it? It start generating these hardwares, because it is not cost effective at this point of time in India. So this is another layer which we have to start thinking, put our arms around it, and see that it becomes really possible and really available to us. Okay. The third layer, which is the data analysis, that is where we have to understand is all data set which comes in generates, like the normalized difference, vegetation index from satellite data. We need to generate that. The disease classifications of 38, that is something, or we start doing the yield forecast. And then Obviously comes the last layer, which is the action and execution layer, where we can send this data or the map to the executors, where like sprayers and weeders, okay, harvesters, they can go do it automatically and bring the food out. That is where we have to understand these are the whole loop which we have put our arms around. Okay, from data collection to actuators. This is something very, very important for us. This is the architecture on precision agriculture data stack we have to put our arms around. So let us try to understand the bits of it. Okay, from satellite the data set, the current satellites, there are a lot of them like Sentinel, Landsat, SkySat, MODIS. Now they have got a huge implementation, huge resolution differentials. The commercial satellites are available, which have got like a Sentinel, which is freely available and it visits us in 5-day time. It has got 10 by 10 meter resolution, which is good enough for to do an NDVI calculation or other like SAP and all. So this is something which is very critical for us to understand. Obviously, we need more higher resolution, but they are more used for defense and all. But we can look at those data sets as well. But we have to put our the NDVI is something where the data from satellite pictures are being generated. These indexes are being generated, which is actually consumed from these raw, especially if you look the pipeline which is there, which gets corrected. So we have to understand how the correction happens, like atmospheric correction or the reflection corrections which happen. So we can have a better data set, a better corrected data set, or the NDVI, EVI, and savvy computations. That is something which becomes available, which is actually pushed into the ML pipeline to understand, to predict the whole the cover which we have, how healthy that cover is, or the crop is stressed, okay, or we have got a disease-prone area now in our hand, or a progressing disease which can be identified. Obviously, this data set and the ML pipeline is used for the prescription map, which can be pushed for the fertilizer or weeding or so multiple areas like on prescription map. It can be pushed to actuators for fertilizers like nitrogen, how much it needs to be pushed into soil, the phosphorus or potassium. Okay, but there are a lot of understanding which we have to bring it in, that how healthy the plant is, what are the soil conditions. So this is the condition of the plant from satellites which we can see, okay, which we can analyze leveraging AI. The second area from looking at these maps we can do a lot of predictive yield modeling. That is another area where we can support the farmers for. Okay, obviously the data flows from the above, the NDVI time series data that flows from there. But the other data set, which is from the soil like pH, moisture, or NPK levels, or even ECs like electrical conductivity, these data also we have to collect. We have to also map the weather data sets which are available, okay, the precipitation forecast and all, okay, and also start collecting and mining this data, the historical data set for the yield of the crops which has happened in past, collect that data, and then we have to, and this is being actually, this is not something I'm talking new, this is already being done, and this data set and all are taking into crop modeling and yield and predict the yield depending upon the current the NDVI which is there on the ground, or the current data set which is flowing from the soil sensors. Taking that, the yield is being predicted at this point of time. Now, the important is the most important factor in this is that a lot of these implementation of the models which is there, our data set is not there. I mean, in terms of the crop which we have, the crop rotation which we have, like Daxa was pointing out, the mango, that is one of the crop which we have, and there the prediction of the yield or the pesticide or the fertilizers it requires and different weather conditions as we evolve, that is not there. So these data sets which we have to become party to it and see that these data sets are also become part of these modeling, or probably we implement our own sovereign models with these data sets. That becomes very, very critical. The world has been experimenting, they are gaining out of it, and we need to become party to it. But then we have to ensure that we also implement these informations into ML algorithms, which is now very, very productive, which is already very, very implementable, and there's a lot of understanding around it. And if we do that, like LSTM captures temporal phenological stages, now we have to any code like even mango fruit, fruiting, the whole temporal data need on the phenological stages of the growth of the mango from fruiting, from flowering to fruiting. We have to capture those data sets, and these data sets can be captured from satellites, from other data sets like your drones and all, and we have to capture, clear the data set, club it together, and these clustering of data sets we can utilize for these kind of modeling. It may be a small model, a small level model, and it can take out on the larger national level modeling as well. But that is where we have to start working into it. So, so this data, these all are taken in, and then it moves into a model architecture like LSTM. That is something which we have long short-term memory architectures which are there, because it is much more fitted for temporal data sets. So that is where it is being used, or convolutional LSTM, or XGBoost, or the gradient boosting for tabular soil and weather conditions data sets are being leveraged. And the most important, the ensemble stacking, where these all data is taken into a single model, and the yield production is done. So it takes care of a lot of things from soil conditions, the weather data set, and the NDVI. Okay, all this gets corrected through all these methods and assembled together to give you a much more, or corrected the yield modeling or yield. So that is something which is being done at this point of time. We have to understand, and specifically institutions like IIIT Bhagalpur and all can play a greater role into this. This will help us a lot at a country level. A lot of advanced forecast before harvest, 90 days before, which helps us taking a lot of corrective data action. Market for yield forecast platforms, that is something which we are missing. That is something which we have to bring into picture. And yield can increase from 3 to 5% with optimized inputs. So this is something which is already there. We have to become party to it. That is something which is very, very, very important and critical for India at this point of time. The another layer which was there, which we have been talking earlier, was obviously the Internet of Plants, and that means a lot of IoT sensors to be put into, and these sensors are a different kind, different architectures they work upon. The LoRaWAN is one, which is for a long range, very privately owned IoT sensors can be deployed over large. But obviously, there is a cost involved into it. You have got to control. The narrowband IoT is another way of putting these IoT sensors for soil moisture, leaf wetness, sap flow, a micro weather or gas sensors. These data sets can be collected through these IoT sensors. And the architecture which can be implemented are different. LoRaWAN is one, narrowband IoT is another, Zigbee or Wi-Fi. Obviously, they are more because Wi-Fi uses the cellular one, or the 5G, which is again a cellular coverage, is very, very high and very costly as well. But these architectures are there, available at this point of time. They are well established architectures, and we have to see that what is best suited in which conditions for us. Okay, specifically because our conditions, our agriculture, the way of agriculture is quite different. We have got a small parcels of land and to implement, and other countries are having a large parcels of land. So obviously a different architecture is required, which is cost effective for our conditions, our farmers, which need to be implemented. So these protocols need to be understood. But obviously the whole focus is that we need to have the data to have a better either yield conditions or any actuators to be implemented. So that is very, very critical for us to understand from the IoT part of it. And obviously, if you want to implement, because the world is moving towards a digital twin, so obviously these data sets and the models which will help us to predict earlier, to have a digital model in our hand, that is what the digital twin is all about. Okay, to predict, to intervene, to prevent diseases, and to see that we have got a higher yield in our hand. So this is something, another area which we have to focus upon. Now the other pipeline is that the currently I was looking at, and that is something teaching machines to diagnose plant diseases. Okay, a lot of diseases have been identified, which is like rust and leaf blight, golden rust, and pest from drone and smartphone images we can collect, and we can teach AI to identify them earlier. There are a lot of AI infrastructure or AI architectures which have been trained upon to identify what are the best for these kind of disease identification, ResNet or EfficientNet or YOLO. Okay, you only see once kind of architectures which are there, or vision transformers. So these have been identified and they have been tested for certain conditions where they have become the better or specifically implemented on edge computing. So no need of moving this data to a cloud and then moving it back. We can put an edge devices which can work upon these and these architectures can be deployed on those. So that is something which we have to understand too. Okay, the real world deployment challenges are there on class imbalance, on domain safe model trained on isolated leaf fail, on infield plants. So real world deployment challenges are there. On our diseases, we have got the diseases currently around 300 diseases have been identified and trained upon on these architectures. Obviously, there are more, and what fits best in our conditions, that is something which we have to look at it. But if we leverage this specifically for precision spraying actuators, this will reduce the herbicide use by 77%. That's huge. Okay, because this reduces the cost for the farmers a lot. Okay, our drone mounted sprayers which can apply chemical only over detected disease patches can be implemented. That also brings the cost down drastically for our farmers. Okay, and obviously we need our own applications like Plantix and all to provide an instant AI diagnosis when you take a photograph. Okay, and you have got an edge on your smartphones with the dense classifier, which is 38 disease classes. So these are some of the areas which we have to see that it becomes prevalent, becomes available to our farmers at the earliest. We need to look at it, and this is the world has moved into this area a lot. Okay, let us look at from the other part of it, from the weed in identification and killing them. There are multiple technologies which have been implemented, like Eco Robotics or Carbon Robotics and Farm Voice Titan, John Deere EC and Spree and AgriForce. They identify and pinpoint these weeds and kill them. Okay, into the farm conditions. And the architectures like Yellow or real-time determination and transformation, these identify, and these can be deployed over the edge computing or on the tractors directly, and they can identify as they move. They can identify these weeds specifically and kill them. Okay, and this has become available. This is something which is there probably on weed identification and all. In Indian conditions, this herbicide weeding is how appropriate, how effective, or probably we can generate that data, collect it and move it on these architectures to see that it also becomes available to our actuators, or actuators at a low cost becomes available to our farmers, which is not at this point of time to an extent, but this is something which we need to see that it becomes available. Okay, this will increase the food security of India too, because the loss due to weeds and all is huge, and obviously the loss of herbicide, the implementation, there is a huge cost in putting herbicide. So these kind of technologies will help us reducing that cost further. Another area where we have to see that the AI is there. Dr. Dilip, I do have some time, right? Hello.
Audible, sir, please.
Okay. So, right. Another area for AI is obviously the livestock health monitoring, which is जिसको हम लोग कहते हैं ना कि there is a सामंजस्य है हमारे agriculture technologies implementation और animal health के बीच में, and this is something where these data sets are being implemented. It is they take care of a lot of the data set which an animal generates, like a 3D data set or 3-axis accelerometer, which not only look at the step count the animal is walking, but also the jaws, the rumination the animal is doing, which can predict the animal is sick or going to become sick. That is something which it captures upon. So or it also predicts when the ovulation will be there, so that we can have a better animal production also. These all indexes are there. These all data sets and can be captured through the variables for AI, for animals specifically. And this has been taken and implemented into the behavior classification for animal detection, stress prediction, that when the animal is ready for reproduction, or disease severity, that is the animal, or even the spread of disease in animals. So this will help us a lot. This will the early illness detection lead time can become as good as 48 hours. So the lot of preventive medication or prevention can be implemented. The stress detection sensitivity for evolution is can be brought to 92%. It has been worked upon, and there the saving is huge. Okay, costs of per illness caught early, you save around $500 in Indian conditions. If you can implement that, it will be huge for animals or the cattle. Okay, the cattle globally that could benefit is $1.5 billion predicted. So there is a huge AI implementation from this. And this variables, though I'm talking about animal health, but let me tell you that every one of us these days are wearing a digital, we have got our own watches like Apple Watch and all, or Google Watch. We are also monitoring ourselves as well. So obviously, you can well understand what we mean when we say the variables for animal health on with the animals as well. So this is something, another area to look into it and see that it maps well with our agriculture technologies. Okay, teaching AI to water crops like an expert farmer. Now the nutrient and the water to be provided, specifically the reinforced formulation for irrigation, is very, very critical for us, because there is a lot of runoff. And if we implement the AI or the reinforced learning for irrigation, we can actually look at, obviously when you do this implementation and to make an irrigation decision in real time, you have to look at multiple data sets. Like one of the data set is the evaporation and the transpiration, which is the water loss to atmosphere via evaporation through soil or transpiration through plant. So these data sets get calculated, and it actually provides that when you want to irrigate, when you want to water your plants, this kind of a decision which is there. And obviously the rewards are there, which this reinforced learning algorithm learns from. Okay, and this can all be, this is not only this helps you in making the policies or like PPO or SAT, but it also helps the AI in current AI world. It is also being put into a system like DSAT, SIM, to simulate this environment and see that the DeepMind or the AI is used for the adoption for approach adopted for irrigation, which will save us more than 40% of the data of the water which we are currently using or currently running off. Okay, this like the company like Intelliculture RL system has a savings for 38% water reduction, and to increase the yield by 12% on California almond farms. This is something which we can bring in, because if we understand when the plant is healthy data set for SAP flow is there, we understand when to implement the NPK, because we have to, whenever we move to actuators or whenever we move to the control layer and move this, when we want to fertilize, provide the nutrients, when we want to use the herbicide, obviously it helps in multiple ways. The whole agriculture ecosystem, the yield goes up. Okay, that is something which we have to see that the AI is leveraged for this also, for the irrigation. Okay, and per field zone, and it can be also minutized depending upon the area which we are pinpointing it, where exactly the water is needed for, the irrigation is required for, depending upon the electrical conductivity or the moisture content into the soil. So this is something, another area where AI is being leveraged currently. Obviously, let's move to quickly on the other side of it. There is a wider area on the CRISPR side of it. Our DNA and the plant DNA has become digitized, and the CRISPR is actually being implemented. That is the interference or the intervention which the AI is bringing in, AI-based intervention, to not only edit these genes through CRISPR, but also predict that how resilient the plants will become, how more productive the plants will become, and that is the way to go. But the challenge is that obviously this ML-based optimization or CRISPR DNA intervention is currently being challenged. We don't understand well about it. And like the Golden Rice 2.0, this has been challenged because the laws are different, Indian conditions, EU conditions. So, but we can definitely, the world is benefiting through that, through the Genie edits, and we have to also see that we are not left out of it and implement AI into this area and leverage AI for predicting better in the digital world or simulated world, and also bringing on the ground and monitor it and see that yes, we start gaining out of it. That becomes very, very important in our conditions where we have varied climate across the India, from south to north. We have got a different set of climates, and we have to see that our plants operate into that, and we can maximize our yields into it. So this is another area where on agri-biotech, where AI is being leveraged a lot. We need to be part of this, and obviously with that, we let me move to the another area where AI, the vertical farming area, the indoors. Let us call it indoors, where a lot of data is being generated and being managed. This is definitely predicted to will have a very high impact, specifically on production of or the yield. Okay, it can increase our yield by 350 times. That's the prediction which is there. Okay, and second, this is because we are not dependent on the climate outside. This is 365 days, 24/7. The production or the yield goes on happening. But we have to see that this technology, I know there are companies in Gujarat and all where they are working upon it, and they have taken this shipping tracks, specifically the big boxes, and they have implemented the vertical farming inside it, which are the AI controlled biofactories. So that's another area where we have to become good at. A lot of understanding, a lot of implementation of architectures has been done on that, and in multiple areas from Medicago to spider silk proteins, this has been implemented. So we have to see that. And I think at Bhagalpur, where you are, the silk production is huge. Bhagalpur is known for that. And that is something where if we can implement this and give that benefit to our farmers there, that will be a huge intervention which IIT Bhagalpur can bring it in into something in that area itself. Obviously, another area for AI to look at it is the biofuel and bioplastics. Biofuel is, you are well aware that ethanol is being mixed into our fuel now. Okay, the production of ethanol is something which we expect, which will also help our environment a lot. Okay, so that is something we have to see that we become party to it, and obviously reduction of the bioplastics from sugarcane waste, fully biodegradable in 6 months. Some of these technologies that AI is helping us to bring it in. Okay, this is something which we have to look at. Understand not from all this ML optimized bioconversion pipelines for feedstock analysis, pre-treatment, optimization, fermentation control, downstream purification of bioplastic synthesis. These are all areas where AI is being leveraged a lot, and I think this is something which will only go on increasing as we go on leveraging AI more for ML optimizing the conversion of crop residue into high valuable bioproducts. So this is an area where AI is being implemented, but there are a lot of challenges, and there are emerging frontiers which we have to understand. I just looked at few of them. The data scarcity and bias, as I pointed out, it is there. The global implementations which are there, it is biased. biased in terms because our data set is not part of that. So it is biased. We have to see that those implementations are also gets our data set and it becomes more valuable, more implementable in Indian conditions. The regulatory framework from the fragmentation which is there for like CRISPR, it faces the different regulations in US, India, China. Okay, and there is no clear regulatory pathway yet. So that is something which we have to look at from. AGI limitations, LoRa node running inference needs, it consumes 1 megawatt, model compression, pruning, optimization. Now this needs a lot of data center, a lot of edge capable devices also, and they are costly. That is something which we have to see that it becomes really possible to be implementable, and we have got a data set or the data centers to learn upon these kind of edge data set which can be gradiently moved to it to have a wider implementation or a wider understanding. That is also very, very critical for us to do that. And obviously the costs of like I just pointed out, the economic access for farmers are very low at this point. For these kind of AI based like John Deere C and space system cost 150K, which is very, very high in our conditions for India. And specifically for smallholder farms, less than 2 hectares and all, obviously they cannot buy these kind of devices to bring in. So we have to start thinking that how we support our farmers, how we consolidate our land systems, specifically to leverage the satellite data set down to these kind of devices and becomes available to it. Okay, a lot of research frontiers which are there, foundation models for agriculture. We are working on Mahat at this point of time. And obviously, I would invite IIIT Bhagalpur to be part of it, to start investing, to bring their researchers and academicians into this, developing our own GPT or a large language model for agriculture, which is very, very critical for India, which can be trained on Indian conditions. I'm trying to work with different state governments as well, so that these data sets become part of our LLM, Mahat. So that is something which we have to see that even Bihar is part of it. State like Jharkhand, Bihar and all, where we are a lot dependent upon agriculture and crop. This kind of LLM will be quite helpful to our farmers in terms of not only cost optimization, but helping them into crop rotation, connecting them into the last mile to where they can sell their crop. Or so this is very, very important. Digital twins of entire water sets, even the flooding which happens in Bihar, that digital twins can be developed and predicted earlier. Actually, I had an interaction with the Bihar government on that earlier, where we presented Vara, the runoff from Nepal down to Bihar. It creates every year an havoc. We can leverage actually, instead of this creates an havoc to our agriculture, to our villages. We can actually leverage it to make it productive for us. This water runoff or this flooding which happens every year. RL controlled microbiome engineering, quantum machine learning for protein folding. It's a big area which is there already. Autonomous multi-robot swarm farming. These are areas, researches where we can see, where we can innovate actually and take a edge. We can move ahead from the global perspective. This is something which we have to understand. So this is the next frontier, gentlemen. Precision agriculture is fundamentally an AI problem. IBM is working a lot on precision agriculture. The convergence of satellite data, IoT, robotics, and biotech is happening. We have to see that we are party to it. It will bring a huge benefit, globally predicted around $25 billion market. And how do we become party to that and gain out of this revenue? That is something which we have to understand and see that we work upon it. And the most important, that if we are not party to it, it will become an existential problem for us. Okay, we have to feed our people. The food security is huge for us. If we don't, we'll be dependent on other countries. They will move. They will manipulate us. They'll be able to manipulate us much more better. Okay, so we have to look at how do we conserve water. How do we reduce agrochemical pollution or from the herbicide, build climate resilient crops, and feed our people too. Okay, so this is very, very important. Let's work together towards it. And I would love to see that we are party to some of these areas, working developments where we can work with IIIT Bhagalpur and any other gentlemen who are there into this call today, so that we can look at the abundance. We have to understand that AI is working towards the technology abundance. That is the three area where I always pointed out that AI is working towards the technology abundance, which is there. AI is also working towards weaponization. And the third most important, AI is currently being worked upon, and the world is working towards the immortality. And there are two kinds of immortality working upon: the bioimmortality, which is us, our animal feeds, but also the institutional immortality. That if we are not even there, the government functions, our system works. That is where AI is also being intervened upon. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks a lot for hearing me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for such an enlightening and thought-provoking address. Your valuable insights into the impactful role of technology and innovation in modern agriculture, particularly through data-driven paradigms for sustainable and efficient agricultural practices, have truly inspired and enriched everyone present here. We are deeply grateful to you for sharing your expertise and visionary perspectives with this gathering. And we definitely look forward to working in these areas that you have highlighted with all of us. Thank you once again. So we will now move on to the next phase of this inaugural session. As we near the end of this interesting inaugural session, it is time to express our sincere gratitude to all of those who made this program meaningful and successful. I now request Dr. Mehul Kumar to kindly deliver the vote of thanks for the inaugural program. And before that, once again, so I would also like to invite Professor Mansoor Singh to deliver a memento to Professor Kalyan Chatterjee as a small token of appreciation for his insight of
Anything else?
Very good afternoon to our respected director and distinguished guest of honors, expert members, and the faculty members, and the research scholars, and the dear participants. It's my privilege and honor to propose the vote of thanks at the conclusion of the memorable inaugural ceremony. First and foremost, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to the guest of honors and keynote speakers, Mr. Kundan Lal, who is the president of the British Research Foundation, for his truly enlightening address on the precision agriculture from the satellite to soil. His vision of bridging technology with ground level agriculture's challenges has set a wonderful intellectual tone for the days ahead. We are truly grateful for his time and the invaluable insights. We also extend our deepest gratitude to our next guest of honor, Professor Kalyan Chatterjee from the IIT Bangalore, for his inspiring words and for bringing the perspective of the cutting-edge biomedical research to this forum. And next, we also our sincere thanks to our honorable director, sir, Professor Madhusudan Singh, who visionary leadership continue to inspire every initiative at this institution, and his presence and address today have truly elevated this occasion. We are also grateful to the Dr. Pradeep Kumar, Head of Department of CSE, for his warm welcome address and for his unwavering support to make this forum a reality. The next, I also a special word of appreciation for our STTP coordinator, Dr. Dilip Kumar Chavisher, who dedicated and tireless efforts for this program as the backbone for the entire programs.
And the last mention that we also thanks to the Mrs. Abla Savati for the beautiful invitation, and we also thanks to all the members of the organizing and the advisory committee for their behind the scenes contribution. And then the last advice, I warmly invite the honorable director, sir, our distinguished guest of honors, and the faculty members and the participants to join for the high tea, and which hope it gives everyone a moment of relax and to connect and to enjoy a brief time together before we begin our next session. So please do join us. Thank you all. Only the 10-minute break has been given for the tea breaks.
So before we disperse for IT, I just want to know how many of you are from BTech? Good number from BTech. So did you find anything interesting for your use in this presentation? What Mr. Lal has presented, a very comprehensive presentation on application of AI and ML in agriculture. I hope three major domains you noted. One is application of AI for detection of crop disease. Another is irrigation. Another is diseases for cattle, animals. अगर इन तीन में से आपको कुछ अच्छा लगा हो, why don't you identify one small project for you during summer? देखिए, डिसीज फॉर क्रॉप्स के लिए तो आपके पास रेडीमेड डेटा यही क्रिएट हो सकता है. मैं तो कहता हूँ आप मैंगो का क्रॉप ले लो ना. We have so many mango trees. You can have images of all the trees, their leaves, their fruit, their flowers. Create a database, use your techniques, classify them, and then predict something. ये बीटेक वालों को ही काम हो सकता है. PhD वाले इसको 5 साल में करेंगे. बीटेक can do in 3 months. I understand. So try to create your interest in this domain. My only appeal is this. So thank you. Please join for IT outside.
Sir, thank you so much, sir. And right now we are having the break of tea, and sir, you may leave, sir. Thank you, sir. And please participant, you have to be online after 10 minutes. Please keep keep online for 10 minutes, and we will start this is now we are having the tea. Thank you.
Welcome back everyone. I hope you all had an interesting day. Once again, I warmly welcome all the faculty members, participants, research scholars and students to the continuing session of the short-term planning program on machine learning and digital learning and agriculture and biomedical engineering at Biomedical. We shall now proceed with the next technical session of the program. For this, I would like to invite our esteemed guest of honor and distinguished speaker, Professor Kalyan Chatterjee from IIT ISM Dhanbad. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody.
सब लोगों को बाहर से बुला लीजिए एक बार फिर शुरू होगा एक बार पापा हाँ सर के सर को इंट्रोडक्शन करा दीजिए और जो क्वेश्चन होगा
Okay, just start.
यस
Okay. So, good afternoon, everybody. So, today just start the presentation is detection of pathologies from the biomedical signal using the hybrid deep neural network. I think that everybody, if the idea about the neural network, deep learning methods, I can just use as a tool and application into the biomedical signal. Okay, I not go to the depth. Okay, I just give the overview. Okay, so if you not understanding, you can actually ask me questions. Again, I repeat. Okay. This is just like an interaction session. This is just like I just tell everything and you are just go to the vacuum places. So this is very difficult to a teacher to teach anybody. So I just use the what is the requirement of the detection of the abnormality. How you detect actually. This is you just think about if this is not in an area. You actually think about this tool. When deep learning or artificial intelligence, what is actually we say? You act as a tool and how this tool we apply in our own cases. So understand this thing. I am the electrical engineer. I say that we act as a, just like we see that what is the different as a tool into the computer science engineering, and then we actually go to our cases actually. You understand the thing. This is the way actually concept biomedical signals. Same type of the same signals we actually go through our power system. power signal is there, lot of disturbances there. So how actually we use in the power system also is this system is actually we use the machine learning, deep learning, agriculture, and biomedical engineering. So I actually act as this is actually a tool and how this is actually apply into the our biomedical signals. So you know this thing. I'm बात कर सकते हैं ना ये? हाँ जी. Okay. Wait. Actually, this is
Light, Sanjeev, light off.
When we actually use the any biomedical signal, every time you can actually understood this thing. When you actually go to the any doctors, any type of the diseases. So doctor, what is actually the first step? Doctors will actually give some test. Okay, and depending on that test, they will analysis. They will analysis your test. But you understand this thing, every time, everybody, suppose in this particular lecture, I can go through the ECG signal. You understand this thing, every doctors actually, not all, I not say that, but most of the people is actually not understood what is the ECG signal. And if the diagnosis is not good, you understand my point, is that your diagnosis is the wrong, so that their wrong diagnosis is actually dangerous. If you don't know, okay, but if you wrong diagnose the whole the signals, if you this is the useless. So that point of the view, in this mean the automatic detection technique is required. One thing is actually the okay, this is the after 98%, 99%, if the detection is good, then we actually go to the our expertise. Why? This is actually the most the cost effective cost is if you use the any physical test. This is the lot of cost is actually involving in the system. But if you go to the any artificial intelligence system or this thing, the cost is actually minimum cost you actually go through the system. They will predict, and then we actually see that what is actually normal signal. We actually distinguish abnormal and abnormal signal, and depending on that, we actually know this is the disease will be occurred in your system or not. So what is actually the main thing is actually there. So first is actually in this particular lectures, I actually go to the detection of the cardiac arrhythmia using the novel feature extraction technique and CNN LSTM model. In the first is actually we use the neural network, and then we actually discuss in the time analysis, we actually discuss how we actually apply to the deep learning methods. So see that the disease abnormality of the human body can be detected by the use of variety of the physical and the visual examination. There are mainly the human interaction are involved. What I actually say, the cardiovascular disease (CVD) are one of the most old disease in the world. The mortality rate CVD is very high. Hence, the analysis and detection of the CVD, the electrocardiogram signal is required. So when we actually use the any signal, when we analysis, either this is the in the data form or the your signal form. You understand this thing? If you have the lot of data in your hand, okay, you can analyze the overall system. Or we actually go to the signal form, then the biomedical signal is here we actually go to the signal point of the view. So that we actually mainly focus on the biomedical signal. So this is actually first from this signals we actually extract the data. So in our hand, you understand this thing. In the agriculture cases, the lot of data will be available in agriculture. By biomedical signal, we actually understood this thing. What is actually our data set? So that you have when you actually got the data set into biomedical signal. So this is the signal wise you actually got the data, not the data way. Okay. So that this is one of the ECG signal. Actually, we actually go to the mainly go to the ECG signal. So here's the analysis and detection of the CVD. When you actually consider the heart disease, the main first step. Now it is different of the signal. For the first step, we actually every time you can see that the doctors actually prescribe the ECG. First step is the ECG. So ECG signal is very much important in our biomedical signal cases. How actually detect the abnormality, normal detection and the abnormality in your system. The selection of the ECG signals have been selected based on the database availability, morality, and non-intrusive technique of the previous research. So what is actually database? That from that database we actually try to predict the system. So first you understand this thing. First you understood what is your problem. From that problem, you actually find out what is the availability database system is there, and depending on the database system, we actually go through the what is the previous result for the particular, because you have required a benchmark database system. You understand this thing? You not consider suppose publish their data and then you actually take not there. You understood this thing? You have required a benchmark database that is actually the well recognized. So here we actually in the ECG signal the well recognized data set is there. So that database you should use for your particular cases. So the signal, the ECG signal have been selected based on the database availability, modality, and the non-implicit technique in the previous signals. We actually go through the total database. If you say, so there is the two parts we actually divided. One is actually the what is traditional previous cases, what is the traditional database is there, from the traditional technique is there, and then we actually consider the approach of the ECG signal in our nowadays actually deep learning and methods, and this every methods when we actually understood this in your system, you can see that the previous one traditional method is there. It is a statistical database. Okay, from the statistical database system. So to understand this thing, previous case, if the lot of database is actually there, I will go to the literature part. So they are the independent compound analysis, DWT analysis, frequency domain analysis, time domain analysis, different of the analysis is there. This is actually the conventional method. Before we actually start the system, because how you actually generate database without any knowledge of the database, you actually not predict your system. Understand this thing? So you have the total idea about the which type of the database you actually use. Depending on that database, actually we find out the what is the previous traditional techniques. That is our basic actually. Without the basic of the every time we are not say that we actually some data will be there, and then we actually, because you understand this thing, one database is actually available is there. You should know. So this is the non-linear linear database. How the database will actually behave. If we go through the classification of the system, you also see that the EV classification. So how many data in your hand, normal, abnormality, that thing you should be, because when we use the artificial intelligence system, you always know that without the previous knowledge, we actually not use the artificial intelligence system. So you have the total idea about your database system. Without the total idea about the system, we actually not use the any deep learning or the, so you have the total idea about the system, then you actually predict, or then you actually understood this thing that your system will be well recognized or not. So this is the different type of the deep learning methods is there, CNN with ML, LSTM. So this is the different of the technique we actually, we mainly use the CNN by LSTM, how actually use that we actually discuss. So the first objective is the detection of the biomedical signal processing. You understand the thing, every system there is first objective, and the second objective is the, so how actually we have to detect that cardiac aspect is the mean the abnormality of the cardiac system from the ECG signal. So first task is actually the database, generate the database. Any biomedical signal, when you actually use the deep learning or any learning, your first is actually you can generate the database generation, and second task is how actually you can apply to your system. So the total this presentation we actually go through the first database collection, pre-processing. Means the pre-processing is actually very much important. So if the every time you are not got the exact signal, noisy signals you actually got, because when you actually use the database in your system, there are a lot of instruments is actually connected. So you understand this thing? Lot of instruments actually connected. Depending on that instruments, you actually got the data. Suppose a human had you everything actually ECG signals are not that this is automatic. We not till now this is not the automatic. So the human error is also there. Instrument error is there. So the you understand this thing? There is a lot of noise is actually coming into the system. So first case is actually the pre-processing the database. That is a denoising the data set and the smoothing the signal. Second, our aim is the pre-detection of the ECG signal. That is the first step with the database from the, and from that database we actually feature extraction of the system, and that feature extraction we actually put in the deep learning method, or you can two methods actually. One is conventional, the multi-layer we actually use the probability neural network. Another we actually consider deep learning method. So propose the feature extraction technique, and then the detection technique, and then we actually analysis the data. That is the result and analysis in the system. Now,
first we understood this thing. I give not I expert. I can give the how what is the ECG signals. Okay, how the ECG signal will be generated. What is the ECG signal will be generated. So you understand this thing. Any system when a signal will be generated, there is actually the any input is there, and you can got the corresponding output. You understand everywhere without any input you actually got any output. So when we actually signal generate the system, so there is we actually see that the total human body lot of potential differences actually. If we go to the BNN biological neural network ANN, so if there also you can see that there is a potential difference between there, then the signal will be actually go to the one neuron to the another neuron. So here also the electrical activity of different human organs are represented by bioelectrical signals. But ECG is the one of the bioelectrical signals originate from the heart. And the instrument which is used to observe the working of the heart is called the electrocardiogram. Okay, electrocardiogram. It is very important to know the electrocardiogram is an instrument which can display the electrical signals generated due to the functioning of the heart. To recognize the abnormality in the working of the heart, this is ECG signal, so it will printed out the cuff paper, and this is diagnosed manually by the doctors and the expert. We understand this thing. Any electrical when we actually got the ECG, we actually got this type of the signal. You understood my point? Every time we actually got this type of the signals in the system. This is actually use the there actually you can see that there is a R peak, R peak, but we not understand. You understand this thing. Only expert people understood this system. What is actually the peak and this system. We actually common people we don't understand about the this is we actually consider as a signal. Now that point of view we actually first this is actually our data set. Okay, we actually got this type of the data set in your system. You can see that there is a different of the peak is there. So P wave, R peak, P R S T, and the this is up to the letter U peak also there. So mainly use actually the QRS. This is the large peak in your system. So the recording of the ECG is done by capturing and amplifying the very small variation in the potential difference which form the electrical impulse on the surface of the human skin due to the cardiac function. The blood pumping, you know that the blood pumping into the whole body by the heart, either into the ventriculars to the entire body by artery, and ventriculars respectively known as the contraction and depolarization, and returning to the original state and resting state, relaxation state is called the relaxation and the depolarization. The cardiac of the heart function is the combination of the contraction and the relaxation of the depolarization by in a synchronized manner. The contraction and the relaxation are mechanical phenomena, whereas the depolarization and repolarization are the electrical phenomena. The sequence of the depolarization and the repolarization in a synchronous way to identify as the potential difference which can causing the electrical impulse, which are recorded in the form of the waveform, placing the electrons in the skin of the body. The recorded ECG consider the short wave PQRST and sometimes the U, or the segment and the all type of the ECG signal. So you see that from this total system, there is the two type of the phenomena. One is in the layman type, if you say, one is actually the heart will be plump, and they will actually give to the your blood to hold the body, and again the blood will come to the your heart. If we are actually so that this is actually the synchronizing way this phenomena is actually occur in your system. So one is actually you can consider the contraction of the system, or you can consider the depolarization of the system. Another is the again the blood will come into the system. So this is the repolarization of the system. So between that, the different types of current will be actually generated. You understand my point? If we actually consider the different type of the current will be generated. Now, if we go to this thing, so you can see that this is the normal phenomena in the system. When you actually consider the normal, so there will be mentioned what is your normal range. You understand this thing? When you consider X and Y form, X axis actually gives the peak, and Y axis actually X is actually count the time, and Y axis gives your peak in the system. So if you don't understand about the total system, so you understood this thing in a normal operating condition. What is actually the duration of all the peak and what the interval? That is our normal condition. And the abnormal condition, if this normal condition is not satisfied, then we actually consider this is the abnormal condition. So this is the normal signal. This is our base. This is only the basic signal is there. You understood this thing. Without the basic signals, you don't know what is the abnormality is there. So when you actually consider normal signals, they will be actually considered the P wave, and this is actually give the 60 to 80 millisecond. That is the contraction of the artery used for the analysis of the artery article rate. QRS, this is the most system because the peak is actually the high. When you actually consider QRS complex system, you can see that this is actually QRS complex system. We actually consider that this is the 80 to 120 millisecond. RR interval, that is the last time in the 1 hour, one peak to the another large peak. This interval is actually the 0.6 to the 1.2 second. PR intervals, you can see that this diagram. So there is a PR interval is there. So all the interval segment is actually the particular millisecond is actually there. So if the RR interval, that is understood this in first case, if the RR interval is the very large in your system, understood this thing. If you don't understand about your total ECG diagram, but if you see that your R interval and this RR interval is actually what is actually the time is actually given 0.6 to 1.2 second. But if this is actually understood this thing, if this is actually very much large number of systems, what is actually meaning of this thing? Mean that your total comparison circle is required the more time as well as your desired time. So the abnormality is actually your abnormality is occurred in your system because there is something is actually the block in your system, or your tissue of the heart is actually damaged. They will be not actually as per the normal condition. That is our basic. Actually, I can not go to that. This is the basic layman type. If you understood this thing, if any type of the time is required the more. To understand my normal condition, if you go to this point of this point, so if your system is actually weak system, so their time requirement is the very high. So if the interval will be starting to the increasing, means that there is some abnormality is actually occurring in your system. Now the question is coming: what is the difference of the abnormality in our heart? When you actually consider what is the difference of this is you understand this and this amplitude. When you actually find out the ECG wave segment interval type, this is the normal condition in your system. If there is any abnormality is occurring in your system, you understand this thing. If there is any abnormality occurring in the system, they will be actually increase at duration, and then your total biomedical signal, so what is actually the ECG signal will be disturbed. They will not got the exact signal in your system. What is the normal signal? You understand this thing. One normal signal, and if you go through your abnormal signal, then you understood what is the distinguish actually between these two signals. So here you understand this thing. This is normal signals. We actually not only consider the second, the amplitude we also consider. So P wave. This is actually we consider the electrical signal. We actually go to the system. So we actually refer into the millivolt. So P wave, this is a 0.1 to 1.2. But when we actually consider P wave, this is a 0.1 to 0.3. So this is all the signals. You can see that the PR interval is actually the highest 120 to 200 millisecond, and the 1 ST interval we actually see that. So this is and RR interval is the 0.4 to 1.22 millisecond. So we actually mainly see the interval of the system. So two peak, R peak, and this is the R peak is actually most largest peak in the total ECG signal. So we actually see that these two peak, if this signal is actually any distant, because one cycle just like a time period of the any signal. So one period is actually occurs. So again another repeat signal. If they will be not coming into the same interval. So if the irregular periodic signal is actually coming in your system, then you actually say that there is some abnormality in your heartbeat. Now, what is the difference of the abnormalities and why it is actually coming to the abnormality is in your system? Actually, I gave the initial idea because how the data will be generated, what is abnormality. I don't go to the what is actually different of the etiquette. This is the different of the terms actually in your system. So this is you should know actually. The normal rhythm of the heart, while there is no disease in the disorder in the morphology, this is signal is called the normal sinus rhythm. Okay, so this is the normal system is actually we can represent the NSR, and the heart rate of the NSR is generally characteristic the 60. We actually consider the 72 as per so 60 to 100 we consider as a normal heartbeat. Within this range, we actually consider that this is the normality. Normality, because if heartbeat is actually more than 80, we actually consider the abnormality is coming. But the more or less 60 to 100 heartbeat, depending on your physical exercise or physical structure of the system. So this is actually depend on the exact 72 is not occur always. So this is actually range we actually consider. This is the normal NCR is actually 60 to 100 beats per minute. For the normal healthy person, the ECG comes of a nearly periodic signal. That is, I consider the periodic signal RR. This is they are coming to the same interval. If the same interval is actually coming, that means your heartbeat, your heart rate, actually this is you are the normal person. But within the depolarization followed by the depolarization at the equal interval. And however, the sometimes these readings become irregular. If there is any irregularities coming into the system, there means that there is some effect, any type of block or other type of the phenomena abnormality is occurring in your system. So the cardiac asthma is a term for any large and heterogeneous group of the condition when there is the abnormal electrical activity in the heart. The heartbeat may be too fast, too slow, and maybe regular or irregular frequency come in the variety. So the different of the abnormalities actually come into the picture. So what is this abnormality? That is actually considered the MI, myocardial infarction. Is the medical term used to describe the heart attack that includes the death and destruction of the heart tissue as a result of the shortage of oxygen and the nutrition. And when you understand this thing, CAD is the most prevalent cardiovascular disease in which the blood flow in the heart muscle is restricted owing to the partial and the full blockage of the coronary arteries. You see that the signals, if we consider that this type of the normal abnormality is coming in your system, you can see that the second part, this is the when there is the MI is actually representing the abnormality of the signals. Normal signal, you know, if there this type of the signal, any distortion is actually coming from the system, there will not go to the different of the peak. If we not the exact peak in your system, if any type of the distortion is coming into the signals, then we actually go through the abnormality is coming in the system. I just go through the every time, not the doctor's term, I can go to the layman type of the system. If you see that the in naked eye, if you see that this type of the signals is actually normal signal, but if there is the abnormality, you understand this thing. If you are in your hand, the normal signal is in your hand, but when the abnormal signal is coming, so if we go to the in the these eyes, so this is what is the normal signal, what is the abnormal signal, you can see the abnormality. Now these things we actually apply to the our AI, okay, deep learning method as well. Now how we actually apply? You understand this thing? The first task, any type of the system is actually data processing. You understand that? How we actually can process the data. So this is the different of the block we actually consider. What actually we can consider the how that this is the abnormality is actually coming. So you can see that there is the block in the left artery block, right artery block. You can that is actually different of the this is the medical terms is actually coming. The left bundle branch block. This is the abnormality on the electrical conduction of the left branch. Right bundle branch block. This is the RBB. And the premature ventricular contraction, that is the premature means the up to this the abnormality is coming there. Sometimes the system is actually coming that you're not all the proper signal. Premature signal means some signal will be actually generate, and second signal before they will be go to the your previous signal, the signal will be actually terminated. Again the signal will be actually coming. So the premature the signal contraction is also there. That is actually defined by the PS. Premature ventricular contraction is the normal heartbeat originated from the particular occurs prematurely. It means that it occurs earlier than the normal heartbeat called the premature ventricular contraction. This is PVC. So you can see that we actually go through the four. One is the NRC. First we get a normal data set. Another is actually we actually go through the different the abnormal data set. In the technical term, they will be considered the LBB, RBB and the PVC, because you understand the normal data set and the abnormal data set, the four different type of the data set we actually already got, or the different of the terms we actually got. So this is the we understood this thing when what type of the different of the abnormalities coming in your system. Depending on the abnormality, your signal will be destroyed. And understand that when you extracted the feature extraction, so you can got the different of the features in your system. So that point of the view, we should know the normal and the abnormality in your system. Any type of the system, here I actually use the biomedical signal. By any type of the signal, you should know what is the normal signal, what is the abnormal signal. In the abnormality, what is the different kind of signal? So this idea you should have, otherwise you cannot properly classify as an inner system. You understand my point? So this is actually the required. Now, second is actually the next task is actually first to actually go the ECG database. Again, I repeat, when you actually use the any type of the system is starting, first is actually the you require a benchmark database in your system. Any arbitrary database system, you can actually not use in the system. So you can see that we actually use the MIT BIH. So this is actually the benchmark database in the system, database directory of the ECG signal. These database actually used for the from the 76 onwards. So this is the total 48 records, and each record is 30 minutes long. You understand this thing? And the number of records used for the experimental feature extraction algorithm is here. We use the 26. Total 8500 ECG bits has been utilized for the validation of the system accuracy. You know the 80% data set, any data when a neural network, 80% data we actually use the testing purpose, and then we 20% data we actually use the validated purpose. So first cases is actually there. So we actually use one database system is actually there. Means actually this is actually your benchmark database we actually use. From that database system, you have the availability because you have the comparison. Your system is actually how they will be paid on the previous system. So from the research point of view, we actually say that you can use any type of the database either in your field also. So either this is medical signal, agriculture signal, or power system energy signals, any type of the we actually use the benchmark database system in your hand, and from that database we actually generate. So what is actually the generate means you understand this thing. Either you can use the different system means you can use the from the statistical method. You have a large number not database. On the artificial interpolation techniques, you can generate also database. What I actually use in the deep learning method we actually done. And from that we actually generate. We actually start the feature extraction of the technique. So here we use the
Sir, one question that this is related to very much, related to my research. So I have faced one issue actually at the time of literature study. So let's say our benchmark data for heart rate is 60 to 100, right? So some person having a continuous 6 sinus, right? So 6 sinus in below 60 continuously, and another is person having variation 30 to 80. So for 6 sinus is fine. So data, the outcome which will be showing that it's a irregular or myocardial infarction is yes. But for if a person is having a what is SBT, right? So continuously they are
that thing I discuss here. You actually go to the whole site, and then we actually take the question. Okay. So at that time actually. Because this is the one normal data set is actually large number normal data, abnormal data is actually very low. That is actually the disadvantage in our ANN technique. Okay, that is actually deep learning methods. We actually restricted the decoupling the data set, and then we actually discuss. Then these data sets actually after decoupling the data set, different of the decoupling technique is there. We decoupling the total database in your system, and then we actually classify. On other, you understand this thing? Suppose I give the one small example, not the electrical point of the view. Suppose in your pocket, the lot of coin is there. 10 rupees coin, 5 rupees coin, 2 rupees coin. So if the 10 rupees coin, if the 10 rupees coin is actually 80%, and the 2 rupees actually coin is some 10% and another 5%. So when you actually pick your any point, so every time you actually got the 10 rupees because the 80% probability is there. The 80% probability is there. So this you cannot classify it in this way. So that point of view, our first step is actually reshaping and reorganize our database, and that is actually deep learning is actually done in your system. When you actually consider your system, so first reshuffling the data, and not consider the reshuffling the data, and then we actually go to the classification of your system. So the first we actually consider the proposed methodology. When you actually go to the system, first you actually consider the noisy ECG signal is there. So there is the raw and first, what is the different step you use any system? So you have the raw and noisy databases in your system. So first, this is actually you can generate a database generator. Second is actually the pre-processing test. Pre-processing state means actually you can remove your noisy signal as well as your low frequency signal and the high frequency signal. Two signals is actually you understand this now. Low frequency some signal is actually the very high peak is there. Another signal the baseline signal that is they will generate the noise. So second term is the denoising is the multi-resolution. Here actually we use the MRTWT and baseline one dot removal is a low data set we actually use. Then next we actually consider the R peak detection technique. Their feature extraction technique and the multi-layer coalescing neural network classifier. So this is the system we actually use for the system. So again I repeat. First we actually take the data set. Understand this? I just go to the not one area. So any system when you actually first you actually take the data set in your system. Second is actually data policing actually. Polish the data. So that is actually considered deionization the data, denoising the data and smoothing the data. After the smoothing the data in your system, so you can use the any type of the technique. Here we actually use the wavelet transform because there is a lot of noise in there. Frequency deviation is frequency data. So that is DW on. You can use the high pass filter and the low pass filter. So that is actually done by our wavelet transform system. And the baseline one that is actually the low noising signal we actually consider. Then we actually see that what is our detection, which one we actually detection. In this particular cases, you actually R peak, maximum peak is the R. So in these cases, we actually see that when the R peaks is occurring in your system, so R peak detection in our cases, and then we actually from the R peak detection, we actually take the feature extraction of the system because the different type, if there is you can consider different type of the abnormalities there. Depending on the abnormalities, different type of the signals we actually abnormality is actually coming in your system. So there we actually consider the R peak detection. You understand this? R peak detection we actually use so different if you have the normal R peak detection, that is the different. If you any type of you have the block, so your detection technique is you got the different of the data. So that point of the we actually generate the different feature extraction technique, and that we classify to here the first SS we actually consider that is the MPNN, okay? That is the multi-layer quadratic neural network. So I go to because I step by step I go to the first is actually the first stage signal processing and better extract the feature of the increases the system efficiency. Second is actually the denoising the ECG signal, that is the reduce the unwanted information, and denoise signal are not most suitable for the increase the system performance of quite an appropriate content which is required the signal classification. Now, when we actually consider the denoising the signals, we use the wavelet transform. So wavelet transform is actually the here we have cases we wavelet transform, but in our cases we actually go to the wavelet transform. This is actually the thesis of one my student. But you can use the any type of the filter. This is actually basic idea is actually we use the filtering our signals. There is the two type of the signal is there. One is actually the low pass filter and the high frequency and the low frequency signal. You can use the any type of the technique, but wavelet transform is actually most because this is actually use the most continuous. You understand the continuous signal is there and the non-linear signal. In the continuous and the non-linear signals, we actually that wavelet transform is actually very good choice. So that point of view, we actually use the wavelet transform. So any question is, so wavelet transform when we actually use, so there is the different type of wavelet transform is actually there. So here we actually use the fifth level detail coefficient D1, D2, D3, D4. Fourth level wavelet transform we actually use. These are multi-resonance discrete type. I not go to the details, but there is the 5 different decomposition in the system. So D1 and D5. D1 is actually called a high frequency and D5 is the low frequency. The mostly the D3 and D4 and D5 we only use for the normal cases. D1 is actually the high frequency, remove the high frequency, and this is the D5 actually reduce the low frequency component. So we actually use the D2, D3, D4. These three signals we actually mainly use for our system. So first we actually decompose the signal, then we actually use the soft thresholding. Soft thresholding means you can understand this thing. What is actually, you have the one normal signal, you have the already idea. So you can understand this thing. What is your threshold value? R peak, you know the what is the R peak. I already give the what is the value in the system. So you can use the threshold value, your minimum and the maximum. That is actually you can soft. Sometimes you actually consider soft threshold value, and depending of that, we actually got the your system. So first cases we actually save the signals. You understand this thing? If any type of the abnormality signal is actually coming in your system, you cannot properly classify it. So first we actually the reshaping the signal. Suppose you understand this thing. Your signal is maximum signal is actually the 1. Maximum signal is 1. You actually consider the threshold value is the 1 point. Maximum signal you can consider 1. But if the signal is coming to the two signals, so you cannot properly distinguish. So that point of view actually the reshaping the save the signals actually. So that point of the view here we actually use the wavelet transform. And baseline wander removal is actually mainly used for the low frequency cases when the noisy signal is there. So this is, you can see that these three diagrams. First is actually the noisy ECG signal, first diagram. Second diagram you can see that the filter ECG signal. And third diagram we actually consider VW, that is actually low frequency signal when actually filtering in the system. So here the lot of noise is there. So after you can see that we actually got this type of signal. So first noisy signal to the base signal, base removal, so we actually got the filter in signal. So you understand this thing. This is the original signal, and the second diagram is actually given the filter ECG signal. So our main is actually the noising the signals in the system. Next task is actually detection of the R peak. In the particular ECG cases, we actually consider what is actually the peak. What is the main peak in the system? So that point of view here we actually consider how I detect the R peak in the system. So when we actually consider the R peak in our system, again we actually consider the wavelet transform in your system. So after pre-processing the step that include the denoising, smoothing, and removing the baseline wander ECG wave, it can be further processed the exact useful information. The ECG signal morphology includes the 5 main peaks from the P peak to the T peak, and while the QRS peak are called the QRS complex, which contain the maximum information in the cardiac function. QRS peak, you can see that when I actually go to the peak, the QRS peak is actually mainly all the information is there, and within that signal, what is actually the main peak? R peak. So that point the R peak detection is actually required. First we actually go through the whole signals, and for that signal we actually consider which is the most dominant signal in your system. Which is the most dominant, we actually consider which part is actually the most important part. So when we actually consider we actually see that the QRS is actually the most dominant part is there. So we find out when in the QRS we actually consider our cases the R peak. So R peak detection is very much important to the ECG signal. So here also we actually consider the MR DWT with the 6th order. Previous cases we actually consider 4 order. Here the 6th order wavelet transform we actually mainly use. So how we actually use, I can go algorithm. What is actually the step by step? First algorithm we actually generate the data. Second step is actually denoising your signal. Third step we actually consider here we actually consider the 8th level decomposition. So we actually mainly within the 8th level decomposition, only the 3 level is actually very much important. 3rd, 4th, and the 5th. And rest of is actually noisy signal. When you actually decompose the system, so what is actually the total system analysis? We mainly interest about these 3 signals. What is actually you can find out D3, D4, and the D5. Okay, so there is actually you can consider the 2 parts. You can see that the 2 function X is equal to one is the total energy D3, D4, and D5. Another is actually within the Y signal we actually consider D3, D4, and the D5 when the N is actually represent the decomposition of the system. So this is the part is there, and then we actually find out the Z, X or Y that is actually coming from the your system, D3 and D4 and D5. After decomposition, we find out the what is the maximum Z in your system, because this Z is actually your depend on the your D3, D4 and D5 decomposition. After that, when we actually find out the Z value, we actually see that this is the every time we actually generate, this is actually maximum or not. Within that Z, we actually 100 different sampling we actually take. We actually consider the positive 50 signals and negative means the total Z signal. We actually divide into the 100 different signals, generate the different signals, and then we actually tested the every point the where the peak is actually coming, and that peaks actually when we actually find out the your signals why we actually represent the total in your hand the PQRS. Again I repeat, so when you actually consider the total signals, so peak value is actually coming to the R peak, and that signal we actually considered in the total feature extraction. So these signals in our cases we actually consider the 21 different point into the QRS complex. I just see that the diagram any better understand this thing. This is the different of the decomposition technique in a DWT, but you can see that this is the feature extraction technique. You see that these techniques when we actually consider the art peak, so we actually consider the different type of the feature extraction of the your system. Any signals, first we actually generate, we actually decompose in the system, then we actually find out the your peak signals. So when you actually consider, you can see that our every time the R will be R signals in whole the signals. What is your peak? R in the R peak when you actually got, before that we actually consider the plus minus 50 sample to the system. Okay, so you can got the your then you can consider the 50 signals in your system. You understand this thing? First we actually peak the your system, and within the peak we actually consider the what is the near about the what is the 50 sample is there. Within this 50 plus and the minus 50 sample is actually we can got, and then from that 50 signal we actually consider the 21 feature we take from the this 50 signal. So this is the logic behind the feature extraction of that technique. Okay, so after that we actually to understand this thing. First,
Q point is the negative, no?
Negative.
The depolarization. And R is
repolarization.
There is after
polarization. This is we actually consider. So this is actually we find out. You understand my point. First, we actually take the signals. After that, you can got the signals. We actually denoising the signals, smoothing the signals. After smoothing the signal, the smoothing is also actually go through the go to the in the wavelet transform. After you can smoothing the signals, your next task is actually you can consider the peak. You can consider peak means actually the what is actually the your from the same what is actually most dominant signal in a system. What is the most dominant phenomena in your system? So you should peak that here. Means that in your system, if you consider that this is the most disturbing element, you understand this thing, that you can should peak. You should peak, and then we actually go to the feature extraction of the system. And then after the R peak, we actually find out that detect the R peak, then we extract the features, of the ECG signal, and after the features of the system, you can actually got the different type of the 5 different phenomena. What is actually previous cases actually considered? First cases is actually the normal cases. You can depending on the R peak, when you actually consider PR, you can actually got the different of the signal is there. So you can consider that this is normal peak. So this is actually the different of the signal. When you consider left block, you can see that the left block. Left block when you actually left side block, you can see that this type of the signal you actually got. You actually from the system you actually find out that we actually five different the extraction of the signal. If there is a right side block is there, so you can see that in the C, the right side block we actually got in a system, and the premature PV is
B is one.
B is actually the left block, left side.
Ventricle.
And the right side, you can see that when you actually consider the right side RBB, that is actually the CC. And this is the, you can consider
that is also ventricle.
And when you actually consider the D side, that is the PVS, in the P mature. P mature is actually occurring in your system. So you understand my point. So when we actually find out the system, actually, and this is the phase beat using the proposed mean if your pacemaker is actually not what, so the beat is the abnormality is actually beat is occurring in your system. So you can got the different other signal. So you can understand this thing. 5 different feature we extraction from your PQRS. What I actually say that one is actually the normal bit, and the 5 different of the abnormality actually you can got from your system. Here actually you can use the ECG signal because of biomedical form, but any type of the system you can go through the abnormality. You can first find out the what is actually different to the abnormality and which type of the signal is there. This is from the feature extraction techniques. After we actually got this is the, you understand this thing, different of the abnormality, your feature extraction is the different. Your 21 feature extraction we actually got now. So different type of the signal we actually got the different type, because when you can consider RP, so you can got the different type of the signal. So that is the input, that is our classified. We use that through the classified tool. We use any classified tool in your system, and that is we here first cases we actually use the MPD. This is actually considered neural data. Then we actually consider deep learning. What is the disadvantage of the neural data? That we also discuss. And this is the different of the confusion matrix we actually use for the statistical tool. What is actually the normal? You understand this thing? If the ECG beat is the normal and class detected is the abnormal, so this is actually considered the false positive bit. Abnormal ECG beat detect as abnormal. This is the true positive bit. Abnormal ECG beat detect as a normal. That is the false negative bit. And ECG beat is normal, class classified normal. That is the true negative bit. So this is the different statistical assessment method, because without the after the analysis you have the required the validate your data, and validation actually the data will be actually required. So how they will be actually predict depending of the your what is actually the 4 confusion matrix we actually generate. Depending of that we actually find out the different of the accuracy actually. Statistical accuracy is actually required. So this is the accuracy, classification of the error rate. So what is actually the mathematical parameter that is actually discussed, this right is there, but we actually classified of the system there. That is actually classification assessment matrix, CMA, accuracy, classification error rate, specific and sensitivity, positive predictivity, F score and overall accuracy. So this is actually the term we use for the your system will be how they will be how close they will be predict in your system. Because the one statistical tool is also required. Every time you can for this time we actually not say that our system is actually good. Okay, so that point of the view for validation purpose we actually use this is actually the how many negative data is there, what is the total your true positive. You understand this thing, every time you actually the true positive bit. If the abnormal data is actually the predict into the abnormality, that is our main aim. That you understand this thing, what is actually your main aim, so that is the if there any abnormal data you can put in your system, the system should predict the abnormality. And another is the normal data will be prepared. So that is actually 2 negative. One is the positive, when you can consider 2 positive bit means the abnormal data is actually that is our positive. And when you consider the negative means the 2 negative, that is actually the normal data. You understand? Act as a normal. Yes. Yes. Now after that we actually use the
ഇപ്പൊ OTP പെട്ടെന്ന് വരുന്നില്ല. OTP വരാൻ തന്നെ 5 മിനിറ്റ് 10 മിനിറ്റ് കൊടുക്കുന്നത്. ഇത് സമയം കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടാണ് ഇതിൽ OTP ഒക്കെ വന്നത്. ആദ്യമൊക്കെ സെക്കൻഡിൽ ക്ലിക്ക് ചെയ്ത് അപ്പൊ OTP വരുമായിരുന്നു.
അതില് ചിലതേ മറ്റേ കണക്ഷൻ പേര് വരുന്നത് കേട്ടോ കണക്ഷൻ
അത് ഞാൻ നോക്കലുണ്ട്, എപ്പോഴും വായിച്ചു നോക്കലുണ്ട്. കണക്ഷൻ ഫെയിൽഡാണ്.
So here we actually use the multi-layer probabilistic neural network (MPN). This is the from the feature it is defined on the neural network. This is actually the multi-layer probabilistic neural network we use, and this is like the main basic feature of the system. One is the input. This is the 21 feature we actually take as the input, and then what is the output layer? We actually output the 6. You understand this thing? The 5 different type of abnormality is actually considered normal to 4 abnormality. That is actually you can predict. So neural network में हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? 21 features is actually you can take, and that from the features we actually see that our system will be predict actually properly or not. Okay. So this is actually
This 21 feature is ideal.
ideal. Not the ideal. Any type of the signals we take the 21 features. Okay. If your 21 features is actually not the normal, so they will be classified the abnormal data. You understand this thing? Every time the 21 features we take the any type of the PQRS. So if there is any abnormality is there, so they will be actually classified that this is the abnormal data. But every PQRS we actually take because the main that point of the view.
You have first trained the standard data, no?
No, already the system will be. I just see that every time we take the one standard database. Standard database. From that standard database, we actually take the features and then we actually put your system. Mean the first we actually consider 80% data we actually consider training purpose. 80% data. What is the whole data? We take the 21 features of the system, and depending on that we actually classify the system. If we see that the classifier is say that then we actually validate. Remaining 20% we actually see that the data, so that is system will properly train or not, or system will give the exact data. So here that but actually you can see the out of the 8500 ECG bits, 1 bit are used for the testing and detection process. Even database used for the this detection process means after the you can train the data because the 26500 80% data we actually use for the training purpose. Remaining the 20% data hai, that data we actually use for the our testing purpose. So you have that see that the different of the data we actually generate 500 bits the normal, 300 bits the PVC, 300 bits the LBB and PS, ECG and 300 bits the APG. But this is the when you actually consider these three results we also compare the other backwards algorithm. This is the multi-layer perceptrons, support vector machine. This is already in the literature is available. So we actually see that this is the different type of the data set is actually there. Depending on that, so this is actually the total. What is actually see that a percentage statistical tool we actually use now. So that is actually got the CPN. When I consider the backwards and neural network, only 97.94% is present. When the multi-layer percentage is 98.53. This is the support vector 99% and the MPNN 99.53. So they only give the large data set, but what is the disadvantage? You understood my point. When you actually use the disadvantage, you can actually take the features extraction and then give the system. Small data set, if you take, so when the small data set is there, so you can easily predict your system. Because there is a small data set, what is you say that different abnormality is there, this is the very nominal. Suppose normal data set is actually you understand this in the normal data set is actually normal data set and abnormal data set. This is the more or less 30 80 60 40 this type of data set. But if you use in case your data set in your system, so there this fail the neural network. Okay, so there the fail is the neural network in the system. So you are
one point. You have shown this 5 pattern out of this 21 data set. These are all for vectors. So what about the ATM?
But this is the I just you understand we actually use the total first system but we actually consider the abnormality. What is the difference in the abnormality in the system? Abnormality, depending on the abnormality, depending on the abnormality in the system, we actually predict it. So this type of this range, when you give the signals in your system, what is actually your output? What is actually the output? This output is actually match that particular output. If that output is there, we actually not exactly we actually consider you have the abnormality, and this abnormality range is this parameter.
Suppose in case of attribute regulation,
this is actually the abnormality we actually consider. There is the quality is the left, if we consider this type of, this is the left blockade quality is there. This is light blockade. Exact data state nowadays actually coming, but this is another extension is actually required. So you can get the exact, but here you can actually your abnormalities they are not there you actually get from the data set. Okay. Then this is the first step we actually use we actually lot of data set is in your hand. From that actually you can multi-layer data set is there. So if the small number of data set is there, so we use the data. But with a large number of data set, the next is actually the why we actually go to the deep learning. Okay. The next stage is actually you can go to the deep learning method. So yeah, go to the so this is the summary of the system. You can see that the 97, 91, 99% is there. But what is the disadvantage? What is the limitation? What is actually the limitation of the deep learning methods? The main limitation is actually there. So first limitation is that the data set is actually very small. Then you can easily predict. But if the data set is actually large, so this is actually sometimes the false data presentation. You understand this? They will not predict the proper system. So very small data is only 850 feature set and consider testing and classification performance. And the traditional machine learning classifier has been utilized for the artificial detection which may not be performed well in the large database. Large database, this system is fair. Okay. The system accuracy mainly depends upon the feature extraction method. To overcome the above issue, the hybrid deep learning model is the proposed. The large database can be considered for the training the model achieved by combining the multiple data set will be used and data misbalancing problem will be considered. Now, when we actually use the deep learning method, what is the different step? Okay, what is the different step we actually adopt? So this is again the repeats. Again, you can use the total data set. The same step is actually called the pre-processing the data set system. Again, after the pre-processing, we use the any proposed methodology we can use in the system, and the CNN and STM method we actually use, and then we actually consider the balancing technique. This is the data balancing technique is very much important in the system. Previous cases we actually not data balancing in the system. If the data will be not properly balanced, we actually put the neural network and they will not give the proper result. So data balancing is required. They will automatic data balancing technique is there into your deep learning method. So I not go to the details about this thing. Already we actually considered. So what is actually the why deep learning models? First we actually this the when you actually consider traditional methods, first to actually input feature extraction you can actually done, then the ML classifier. But deep learning methods actually the feature extraction technique is already available. In the deep learning method, you can actually extract the data and the classify the data. This is the special feature is there in the deep learning method. Their ability to automatically generate the features from the data set provide to the you. Deep learning methods is actually itself actually generate your feature data set. So the what is the different of the method? What is the different database we actually use? Here the two database we actually consider MIT DB and the PTV, and the sample we use. You can see that again I repeat. Here you can understand this thing. So this is actually the four different type of the phenomena. What is actually previous cases we actually consider. One is the normal data set, another supraventricular S, ventricular V, fusion F, unknown. That is the base data set Q. We actually define by this type of the N, S, V, F, Q, and the M. Okay, that is the different type of system is actually used. So you can see that the when normal database we actually use this type of database, but you can see that when the abnormality database is there is very much low database in your system. When the abnormality database, you can see the within that database only the abnormality is very much low. So you can see that the first the data balancing is required. Normal database is actually very high. What is actually you say that problem, and the when you actually go the abnormal database, there is actually the very low database error. So the here the deep learning method is actually that phenomena that is actually overcome through the our deep learning methods. So you can see that this is the different. If we take the data normal database, so this is the four graphical view of the ECG signal. This is the normal signal S, V, A, U, and the M. So different data from the data set, we actually got the different type of the waveform in the system. This is the normal, and the abnormality you can actually got the different waveform in your system. So the what is actually proposed methodology we actually adopt from the deep learning methods. Actually, I not go to the details. I can just give the your overview. So how actually can apply to the any deep learning method in your system. So first the ECG signal acquisition. This is the first step. Second is the pre-processing and the ECG data, noise removal and the segmentation. Then the third is the data distribution, 10 and the test data. Then data balancing, that is the handling in the class imbalancing. Then you can use these two things is actually very much important into the system. Data distribution and data balancing, and then the CNN model we actually use. And here after you can use the CNN model or you can use the CNN and the LSTM. What is actually advantage that you actually go through this thing, and the result with training, validation, and the performance evaluation. So this is the methodology. I not go to the details, but you can see that the what is actually previous cases actually first we actually cases the ECG imbalance data, then the pre-processing. After that data distribution, proper data distribution technique is there. Then we actually data distribution we actually consider the how many data is the testing purpose, how many data is the training purpose, and then we actually use that is the prediction purpose CNN and CNN STF. In the prediction purpose, after we actually averaging this data, and then we actually find out the different of the abnormality in your system. Data balancing, that there is a different of the technique is there. Random oversampling, asymmetry, and the syndromic link. So that is actually the from this technique this is actually the without the any data balancing, and these three different of the technique is there. That is the data after the data balancing. Then we actually go to the system. So one is the without data balancing, and remaining three is actually the three different data balancing technique we actually use, and then we actually find out the system. We not go to the details. So you can see that the first same thing is the first is actually the data distribution. So 80-20% data we actually use the testing and the training purpose in your system, and out of this. First system is actually data balancing. Okay, data balancing actually we can go to the different of the techniques. Is actually we not go to the details in the system. So there is you can see that the random oversampling, asymmetry. So this data set, if we consider graphical model, that you understood this thing. I not go to the because you can the first data set actually you can see that without any sampling that data. So lot of data is actually this system is the overskew. Normal data set and the abnormal data set is actually lie into the your total data set in your system. So this is the not properly you can not properly distribution in your system. Properly you can not detection in the system. You can see that after you can consider the B and the C. You can see that this sample database is a balanced distribution. You use the balanced distribution in your system. And when you use the asymmetry and atomic sample data, you can properly clean and well separate classes. When you use the deseparating, you can the last three system, you can see that properly reseparate your data. First cases without reseparating all the database is there, you cannot proper distinguish your normal data and the abnormal data. But when you use the data distribution technique, so you can see that there is a balanced distribution in the system. So balance and the clean and well stood. This is actually the what is your problem. You can see that the first the cases the normal report sampling. So you can see that the 76.32% is actually the normal database, and the abnormal database is only the 2.5.8%, 0.6%, 6.48%, 8.47%. But after the sampling the data, after we actually use the proper sampling the data, all the database we actually generate from the EOS system into the same database. That is actually done by our data sampling. You understand this? Data processing is actually required for the CNN. CNN technique is actually done with the proper redistribution of your data set. Proper redistribution your data set. So you can see that when we use the normal data set, first cases is actually the training bits. You can see that the normal data bits is at the 75.708 and other is actually very low. So this is the training bits, but when you actually sampling the data, all the bits is actually the same size. So this is the main motto in our sampling the data set. First is actually the main motto into our sampling the data. So when you use the CNN technique, first is actually the processing the data, second is actually the resampling the data in a system. So then we actually use the conventional layer. So there is a different CNN layer is there. So this is the key component conventional layer extract the feature using the filter. RU value introduce a non-linearity, pooling layer, batch normalization, and the fully connected layer. Why CNN? Detect the local patterns of the ECG signals and learn waveform same automatically and reduce the need for the manual feature engineering. Okay. So this is actually the short-term memory of the LSTM. Only the CNN is actually not properly. So this is the LSTM technique we actually use. LSTM actually the data will be actually flow the input signal in the entire LSTM. Some data will be actually forget and some data will be actually considered the long-term memory, and output is actually the next system. Because every system when we actually use CNN, LSTM, every system we actually use the how you actually handling your data set in your system. CNN we actually mainly use for the you understand this thing. CNN we actually the resampling the data set, and then we actually use the LSTM is the most smoothing your data set in your system. So the proposed model here the hybrid architecture combine the CNN and LSTM. Total 23 layers is actually there. Initial layers is the CNN feature extraction. Final layer is the LSTM sequence layer. Working the CNN extract the special feature from ECG. LSTM analyze the temporal relation and fully connected layer the perform classification. Advantage is combine the best of both the models. So this is the main model in the system how actually use. First you can see that the 10 the database data set. Two model is there. One is the CNN model and one is the CNN by STM model. So TS database we actually use. Within this data we actually prediction the two system on the CNN model with prediction, and this is the prediction 2. Then we averaging these two data, and then we actually go to the TS data set, and the final prediction we actually got. So you understand this thing. First we actually take that here you understand this thing. First we actually consider go to the raw database. We actually pre-processing the database. We actually distribution the database. Then that database actually you can put into our techniques. Actually after the resampling we actually pull the CNN. Another database we actually consider the CNN as STM. We actually predict the data. And from that data, we actually see that your prediction technique is actually good or not. What is actually total prediction? The prediction technique is that is actually properly trained or not. That data will be actually give the proper training value. What is actually you can validate from your validate data, because the 80% data we actually consider the training purpose, and remaining 20% data we actually use the testing purpose. So this is the different type of the system we actually consider. First we actually go through the imbalance database. Okay. First we actually consider the imbalance data set. Imbalance means that we're not balancing the data set, and we use both the CNN and the LSTM. If we go through the graphical representation, you can see that the loss of large number of lost data is that the validation accuracy is not the proper. Large number of loss is in your system. So if you not properly balancing your database system, the loss of the system is very much. Okay, the loss of the system is actually very much in your system. Second is actually you can use the CNN and LCM imbalance database. That means without the balancing the database, so we actually use that lot of loss in the operating system, and that is actually the validation is also not the properly. Second, we actually so our next task is actually the balancing the database. So what is actually affecting a system? So you can see that when the imbalance data set, so their prediction is the 98% and 588%. That is the total. But you can see that the some data, when you actually consider normal, abnormal data is there, only 70% data is prediction is actually possible. Without imbalance, if your normal data, fusion data is there, with a normal and abnormal data you can fusion, only 70% data is there. So that point actually the yellow color, you can see that the 70%, 78.88%, because the very low prediction is technique is there, very low prediction. That point of the view, the balancing database is actually required. Okay, the balancing database is actually required. So here we actually use the random oversampling CNN and the STM. So you can see that the smooth of the loss will be reduced when you actually balancing the data. Your loss will be actually reduced in your overall the accuracy also the increasing. So another you can see that the CLST model, the random oversampling three database we actually consider. So on a random oversampling data, so here the CNN and STM model in the random oversampling data set. So you can see that the 82.61%, this increase your prediction capability. Okay, the statistical data will be actually increasing. When you use the another data set, another data sampling data set, so this is actually you can see that your validation losses will be decreasing. And third one is actually we use the LSTM data set, the sample data set. And fourth one, this is the last data set. You can see that your prediction is actually the very smooth prediction is actually occurring in our system. So if you see that the 85%, 88%, and here is the 99.1% data is actually prediction is actually the possible. So this is the main aim is actually there. So when you actually got to the any abnormal data set in your hand, so first the data sampling is actually required. That is actually the main aim. First, without the data sampling, if you put any CNN on the CNN or any higher technique, your prediction is actually not that good. So the first any raw data set, if you smoothing the data set, after that you can actually resampling. You can understand the resampling the data. After you can resampling data, then you actually go to the any type of the CNN or the CNN STM, this type of the technique. So this is the summary. So here we actually go to the two independent, one is the CNN LSTM data. Overall accuracy is actually greater than 90% is obtained in the ECG database in a system. And we actually go through the previous cases only the 70%, but the 15% data when we actually use the any accuracy also there is an increase after the resampling data. The accuracy is actually the increasing. So any question is there? I just give the overview. Actually, I not go to the details because this is not possible to the within 1.5 hours. We actually go to the details of the system. I can give the overview if your raw data set is there. So how actually you can put in your system. So anybody any question?
If you have any questions, the floor is open. Please do. Anyone of you?
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. I audible.
So myself, Dr. Susmita Tripathi. Actually, my area is physical image. Actually, now I want to move in the signal. So I want to know the basic information about the signal. Like suppose if we found the clarity of any image having some pixel value, based on that we find out the image clarity. So like this, any algorithm or any technique, we can find out the signal clarity or whatever.
Please repeat once again. Your question is not clear.
Your voice is not clear, madam. So can you write that?
Please text your question.
Or again you repeat.
Sir, actually, I want to know the basic information about the signal. So, how we can find out the image, image clarity? So, in the signal also, how we can find out the clarity of that signal? That means any pixel value or any other information based on that. Hello.
Maybe you can actually type it.
Am I audible, sir?
Your audio is not clear. Yeah, your audio is not clear. Maybe you can actually type it if it is possible. We'll answer your question.
Just text your question.
Yeah, can you please text it, type it within the comment. Maybe a brief summary of your question would be fine. Hello, ma'am. Am I audible? Ma'am, hello. Hello. Sir.
Next, move to next question.
Okay, so do any one of you have any questions other than so that is not audible? We'll be addressing it later if it is not an issue. Okay, so if not, then we move ahead. Let me just conclude the lecture by thanking Mr. Kadai.
Just back up to the mic.
Yeah. So, stop presenting. Stop presenting.
Who's the question? Do you have any question? Last
Video. Yeah, Sushrita, please go ahead, Sushrita. If you have
Yes, sir.
please go ahead. Maybe you can type it out. It is not very clear. Your audio is not clear, I think. So you can type the question in the comment.
Actually, your voice is also in echo, so I cannot hear properly.
So can you please type the question?
Yes, the question is right.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, Sushrita will answer your question if you can type it. Yeah, please do. Yeah, Dr. Jitendra, please, if you have a question, please type it out.
Hello? Hello? Hello, ma'am? May I hear
Yes, sir.
Actually, the threshold value is actually choosing by the two types. One is actually the hard threshold value, one is the soft threshold value. Hard threshold value is actually from the your P determined with the if you have the idea about your total signals, what is the maximum, what is the minimum, depending on that you can actually find out what is the threshold value in your system. And soft threshold value is actually coming. So what is actually the maximum value is actually
you would require. Depending on that, you can actually find out. So your threshold value, the upper one is actually cut one. Actually, when you actually do the weighted transform, so the already they will actually give the your system the upper cut is they will already cut down the your upper soft threshold value, and then they will give the your result. So soft threshold value is actually the automatically they will decide, and hard threshold value is actually move the your system.
Okay, so I hope that answers the question. So if any one of you have questions, please type the question on the comment section. We'll wait for 10 more seconds, 10 15 seconds. Okay, so we'll wrap up this session. Let me just thank Professor Kalyan Chatterjee. So can you share the PPT? Yes, so the PPT will be shared with all of us. Okay, that's the issue.
That is depend on the your future extraction technique is algorithm suitable. Which type of the signals we actually consider? Which future extraction is suitable for the for this type of the which type of the signals actually? You can understand this thing. This is actually which this is ECG signals we actually here the different these two type of the feature extraction technique we actually consider. But this is depending on the which type of the signal we actually use for the particular cases. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So I would like to thank Professor Kalyan Chatterjee, IISM Nepal, for such an enlightening and engaging lecture. His presentation clearly highlighted the pitfalls of traditional machine learning techniques and then articulated the problem through a well-structured deep learning pipeline and provided valuable insights into how such techniques can support the early and accurate detection of cardiac arrhythmias using ECG signals to support reliable and effective modern healthcare systems. We sincerely appreciate his effort in delivering such an informative, meaningful, and knowledgeable session. It is all thanked by giving a huge round of applause. So we will now break for lunch.
Yeah, we will have a lunch and 1 hour lunch break. So please, we all have to gather in Cotilia Park. Lunch will be available in Cotilia Park, and we will give it to you. Okay, we will distribute just this to our destination. Okay. So we can also thank you all the participants. Thank you for your presence. We will start next session followed by the same time. Okay, thank you everyone. Please. Next session
या तो ग्रुप में डाल दो। अच्छा, वो वहाँ पे हटा दे। हाँ, ग्रुप में।